Hello. This is something new because I'm too lazy
Very new.
to figure out how to just postpone it. I'm gonna do a live recording of a MerlinCast.
And I've never done a live recording on YouTube of anything.
This is your first one?
This is my first one completely. So.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. If anybody watches this, comes in, probably not going to be responding to too many comments, but we might look at the end. So feel free to comment as we go along. We've got a couple topics here. As you can see, Dan's here with me.
Hello.
So the last couple MerlinCasts I've done, I've just been kind of hanging out with some of the old YouTube collab group, Phantom Group, Green Clan.
When you said this was your first one with another person in the actual studio with you.
Yeah, as
my room.
My room. It is technically it's a studio, makeshift studio.
But in a while, because everybody else is over Zoom and whatnot.
I did a video with Gimli for Drinkable Alchemy, but yeah, that technically for a podcast? No, though I want to try and have some more people over.
Because I haven't had a guest on my show that was not over Zoom in at least 3 months.
Are you going to start having people over?
I guess so.
Yeah, I mean,
I suppose that's the plan.
I guess until like they say otherwise. So well, we've got some topics here. We kind of were talking for a while, and I had to get us here to record because I knew that if we didn't come in here to the studio, we would just not do it because that's happened before.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, well, so
we have chatting and then.
And that's 3 a.m. It's like, hey, well, and then you'll be like, look, Merlin, Joe, the podcast isn't happening. Right. I'm like, what? What? We can't talk for another 3 hours? No, we should have just gone to the room, but it's fine. But anyway, we came up with some things to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the first one was and of course, people watching along, feel free to give us your opinions. But with your grading system on Film Fanatics, his channel's Dan Reviews It. We did the old podcast for those that don't know. Your highest grade, our grade was A+ for movies.
Yes. Yep.
And you don't really give that out because you want those to be the cream of the crop.
You
right?
really like 2 to 4 a year typically get an A+.
Okay. And
out of like 200 movies.
And of course, people know I'm a pretty big fan of superhero movies, and a lot of the Marvel movies have been great. You agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that.
But you haven't really given too many superhero movies an A+, I guess.
Correct. Yeah, we started talking about this because we were extolling our love for the great Into the Spider-Verse, one of the, in my opinion, great movies of the last decade, one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, one of the greatest animated movies. I mean, it's brilliant on so many levels. It's so unique, so inventive.
It's really good.
And it's really the first movie, I think, that really does make people feel like they're looking at a comic book come to life.
Like video that I saw them just kind of like saying how they actually had to like create a whole new form of animation to like make the grain of the film look like it did with those old 60s comic books, like with the weird like shifting colors with the type of print.
I mean, that's literally like Walt Disney type stuff that we're talking about when we're going over these 30s and 40s Walt Disney movies.
It's like a whole new technology.
It's so inventive. So that sort of got me to think out loud, are there any other A+ superhero movies? And so we sort of started going back and forth, and I've certainly given some A's. Iron Man 1, A. The Dark Knight, A. Deadpool 1, A.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
Guardians 1, A.
Oh yeah.
And then Endgame. I loved Endgame.
But A+ though.
But none of them are A+. Well, okay. So let's talk about why that is, maybe. Because I think that was sort of your question, like what
like what holds you back a lot from just that little bit.
Here's the thing: a movie that is an A+ to me is typically a movie that is unique. It is doing something different, and even if it's a remake, I've given remakes A+. But to me, a lot of superhero movies follow a formula.
Yeah.
And I know you've had issue with a lot of villains in movies.
Yeah.
And a lot of superhero movies just simply don't have great villains.
That's a big problem.
It's a big problem. And so I think that is a big part of it, that I just can't. There's a cat.
Just can't have a cat.
There's a problem with just sort of originality. They're doing, beat by beat. Okay, we've seen this in a million superhero movies. Now, I'll tell you one that might also deserve an A+ that we didn't bring up earlier because I just thought of it.
Okay.
Logan.
Ooh.
I could maybe see giving Logan an A+ over time. I might have to watch it again though. Like some of these are like,
Yeah.
I definitely change grades. I'm a kind of person that if I'm wrong, I can say, okay, well, I was too harsh on that, or oh, I don't know what I was thinking. This movie isn't that good, or whatever. I could see rewatching a couple of these movies, and then another one I thought of while we were setting up, but I wanted to sort of save it for on air, is one that I know you love.
Okay.
And that would be Keaton doing Batman, or for you, I would think more Batman Returns.
I haven't done a video on it yet, but the Batman and Batman Returns, I would probably give those A+.
Yeah.
But I've always
given several movies A+ though in the superhero genre.
But I also have that that love of the comic books and superheroes. I grew up with them, so. But I mean, if that affects my grade a little more with bias, like if I appreciate that a little bit more, I don't know.
Probably. I'm trying to think of other. I mean, Wonder Woman maybe. What about the Reeves Superman, which I've never seen?
That's actually one I wanted to ask you about.
Parts of the first one
was because this kitty,
so cute.
She's so adorable. She just had some surgery.
I know, like she's fragile, so I don't want to like pet her today.
No, you can pet her. But yeah, with the super, that's actually one I want to ask you. You've never seen the Christopher Reeves one, right?
I've not in full, no.
No, well, that was actually another contender I'm thinking for A+.
Okay.
And it's weird too. And once again,
groundbreaking certainly.
Groundbreaking certainly, and I would say too that actually, I would say a lot of people would probably say Superman too.
Yeah, is that was that the Quest for Peace or that was 3? I don't know, or that was that 4.
That's Superman 4.
What was 2 labeled? Nothing, just Superman 2.
Superman 2, Superman 2, and then there's Superman 3, and then Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
So that's the only one that actually got a subtitle.
Yes.
Okay, I guess that's why I was thinking it was the second one, because it's the first subtitle of it.
No, yeah, I think a lot of people would say Richard Donner Cut's the best one, and
I've heard that.
I have heard that, and it's honestly, if you gave Superman 2 an A+, I'm fine with that. I probably would too, but there's something about. Okay, this is a good lead-in. I'm glad you brought this up. Believe it or not, I'm not like the most hardcore Superman fan.
Okay.
Like in terms of superheroes, I'm not. But I do really like the character.
Batman.
A little more of a Batman guy for DC, and maybe Spider-Man more than that, and Daredevil. But
you do love Daredevil, although that movie was bad.
It was
not an A+.
The show could be A+.
Okay.
Some of it.
All right.
But no, I think the first Superman movie is kind of the pinnacle for me, and for a long time, it was. Like, as you know, you see this movie, you believe a man can fly, and then they did. It was groundbreaking for special effects.
Right.
And so, yeah, I still think that's like my go-to, especially for like a superhero origin movie. Like that's the one. So you probably have to watch that one again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would have to see that. I feel like I might have a box set of the 4 Reeves movies. But yeah, I mean, I think that is my biggest issue with giving superhero movies an A+, is that a lot of them are very formulaic. And the villains are a problem. And if it's an origin movie, it's like, all right, well, a lot of people, we already know the different origins for different things, and so
nowadays, especially,
is it even that interesting anymore? I don't know. And so to me, I still stick with Into the Spider-Verse, A+, and it is probably the only one for me. And honestly, Endgame might be an A+. I mean, I didn't give it 1, but Endgame was a culmination of 28, 30 movies, whatever, 3 hours long, that really, to me, didn't feel like it. There was so much going on. They had every single person in there. I think that's a pretty solid superhero movie.
Okay, so
but it can't stand on its own. Like it.
That's the thing.
Not that I've never given sequels A+ either, but
no, the MCU is kind of weird, and I know that's been an argument with some people. Is like, as individual movies, how well do they hold up? Because it's more like a TV show.
Other than, I would say, obviously, like the first Iron Man, because it was the first one.
First couple.
If we're not really counting the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even the first Avengers movie, not Captain America, the first Avenger, but Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
I think you could probably watch that with having very minimal knowledge, maybe just who the characters are and what they can do or whatever. I think you could probably watch that without binging, the whole 4 or 5 movies that came before it.
Probably.
But yes, that's about it. And then you have movies like Black Panther, the first Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, which have very little to do with the rest of they're part of it, but they also stand on their own.
But I definitely don't think those are.
I'm not saying these are A+ movies. I'm
movies.
just saying, as far as Marvel movies that stand on their own,
Mm-hmm.
I think you could watch Black Panther having never seen any other Marvel movie and get it.
Actually, I think you could say that.
Same with Ant-Man, same with Doctor Strange, probably. A lot of the first movies.
A lot of the origin movies.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well,
now that might be an issue.
all right. She's going to have to go.
In fact, I think she just knocked us off.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, it's on Bing now.
It's time.
It's on Bing now.
No. She probably knocked it over. All right. I was trying to do that. Oh, wait. Are we on
Wait,
Bing?
is that that might be? Oh, we're still on.
We're still live.
On. Wow.
Cat did knock us off.
This has been a stunt show.
So far.
That
I
I'm a
mean,
part of.
so far. No,
Wow. Wow.
She's been out all day. I was trying to keep her going, but she's got to rest anyway. So
Yeah, she's having problems.
Yeah. All right. No more. But yeah.
But I think that leads us into our next topic, because I asked you when we were talking about this out there in the kitchen about Spider-Man 2, because that to me might be an A+ upon retrospect. I loved it when it first came out, and you told me some interesting news.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know if I've ever shared this publicly with anyone before.
Wow.
So I think this might be new for you.
This is an exclusive.
It is kind of an exclusive, and I mean, I know that for a lot of people, I think Justin really liked the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. I think he praised.
I think most people did.
Most people
certainly
do.
At the time. Maybe not as much in retrospect. I don't know.
And I remember it's been brought up before, if this was 2010 or something, or 2008, before Iron Man, before the MCU was certainly really a thing. We live in a new era of superhero movies and franchises in general. So the Spider-Man movies, especially Spider-Man 2, they were important. And at the time, 2004, yes, absolutely.
Top tier.
It really did change the game in a lot of ways. And I can't deny that. I mean, visually, and just kind of being able to portray a comic book story so close to one of the original issues and making it accessible, never really been done on that scale. So directly inspired. So I get the love for the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and Spider-Man 2 specifically. And I watched it. I kind of rewatched it a couple years ago. I saw the extended director's cut with all the extra Doc Ock fight scenes and stuff, which they were pretty impressive. And I mean, there's the train scene.
Yeah, the train scene is what everybody remembers.
So I don't think that it's a bad film or anything. I think it's very good. But yes, I've always really liked the first movie the best. I
think the first movie is also very good.
The first movie is very good. And I think that was kind of my first big experience with an origin movie beyond Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to see Spider-Man on screen, I think the first movie did it so well. And I think it did. It's just Spider-Man 2, I guess, topped it because I don't know, it upped the ante in terms of the drama.
I think so.
Maybe.
Well, and I think, I don't know. Spider-Man is one of those characters that you already know his origin story as long as you are a person in the world. I think most people, even by the time that movie came out, knew he got bitten by a radioactive spider, all of that. So I think a lot of one was about that. And it was a good origin story. You're not wrong, but
I mean, it has problems, but I think it's still a very solid movie. And when I remember I was very excited for Spider-Man 2, and I saw the trailer. I remember there's the trailer where I think it was on a DVD spot actually, where they had Doc Ock throw the car at MJ and Peter Parker, and he's about to confess his love, and she's moving in to kiss him, and there's a slow motion dodge. I was like, classic. Oh man. And then they had the Danny Elfman score, and then all the quick cuts. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Spider-Man 2. It's gonna be awesome. And I, of course, had a lot of hype. And I think it was the first instance where I had hype for a movie and I was genuinely disappointed. And that's not to say that I was oh man, I hated it, but I had such high expectations and it just didn't quite meet them for me. And I don't know exactly why. I think after years looking in on it, I think it's more of a preference thing. I just kind of I like origin stories. I think that was one of the best ones,
Yeah,
first of all.
I agree.
And I think that, all right, okay, maybe this is where my bias as a comic book fan came in. I think my biggest problem with the Sam Raimi movies kind of begin with the second one. And that's
Okay.
why, like, a lot of the things people complain about, the biggest thing I think people complain about with Toby is that he's not a very good Spider-Man in terms of the humor, the quips, that whole growth of his character. And in Spider-Man 2
In
and 3,
retrospect, he's really
he
not.
doesn't really grow. And like that's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved the first movie, because if you want to, tackle the timid, shy, geeky Peter Parker, the first movie does a really good job with that. But he's only really that way for like maybe a couple issues of the comic, and then he, slowly, because I read a lot of those old Stanley comics,
Right, right.
and he's kind of like resisting, like I'm cool now, and of course he's still, I guess, geeky by the 1960s standards or whatever. But the point is, by the time we get to the second movie, he should be growing like he does in the comics, and he's not quite as timid as he used to be.
Right.
And Toby never really gets
He
portrayed
doesn't.
beyond that.
Yeah, I agree.
So that if you're going to show, an adaptation for a character that's a true and whole to it, that's why Garfield was a debate. That's why Tom Holland's seen as kind of a great one, and that's
Tom Holland is
spot on.
I mean, he's excellent as Spider-Man.
And that's the thing. So
Garfield was okay.
Garfield was okay, but once again, what did people say about Garfield? Great in the suit, but was he really a dorky?
Right.
I don't know.
But he was also way too old.
He was a bit too old for
Yeah.
it too. But yeah, so that was the biggest issue I think I had, and that's why I don't have the problem with the first Spider-Man.
Okay.
But in 2 and 3, it's more.
3 is bad. I mean, everyone knows that.
I think that the portrayal of MJ is a bit off. I don't really like their romance that much, and that's kind of the big hook.
Right.
And also, this is another thing too. And I don't know if anybody will disagree on this. I've never heard anybody complain about this, but this is
Okay.
also another reason why I don't like Spider-Man 2 as much as 1.
I'm intrigued.
And this has something to do with what you mentioned earlier about villains.
Okay.
While I think Alfred Molina does a great job as the villain, Doc Ock is not really a sympathetic, sad person. He is an evil,
Okay.
maniacal, not good person.
And in the movie,
he's more humanized, which
right.
I guess that's better storytelling. And a lot of Spider-Man villains are humanized. But Doc Ock is one of those ones who, if you ever read the comic, he's got that evil grin on his face. He's a mad scientist.
So do you think he was a mistake to be the villain, or you just think that
No.
they should have portrayed him the way he was in the books?
Okay. I don't think it was a mistake. I don't think it was a mistake because, all right, you start off with the Green Goblin, which arguably could have been a mistake. That could have been a mistake because you might want to lead with the bigger villains. You should start small, which is why I think Andrew Garfield.
But you also love what's his face that played
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
So,
Dafoe.
Yes, that's the thing too. As a villain, he's fantastic. What's the Weird Al quote? He's scary without the mask on. He's
Right.
scary without it on. Yeah, like so. That's obviously another factor. Willem Dafoe is such a great Norman Osborn, and also a really good interpretation of the character because Norman Osborn is pretty evil, pretty maniacal, but they still humanized him a bit in the movie, which was fine. And he's more evil in the comics. But with Doc Ock, no, I don't think it was a bad choice to make him the second villain because he's also one of the great Spider-Man villains, arguably more popular. But okay, I don't know if you'll ever play it, but if you have the time, Dan, and some people know what I'm talking about here, if they're watching and listening, probably one of the best Spider-Man stories that came out, and people were telling me to play it. Alex actually got it for me, Troll. Spider-Man for the PS4 2018 was fantastic.
Okay.
As just a Spider-Man game, people agree it's like one of the best Spider-Man games, partially because of the story, and Doc Ock is one of the villains. And that is the best version of Doc Ock I've seen because they made him sympathetic. He starts out as like one of Peter Parker's teachers the day before, and he descends into like that maniacal villain. Whereas in the Sam Raimi movie, he's kind of just a nice guy that the arms take over him, and it's not really his fault.
Right.
It's not as complicated.
Yeah.
And they make it like that. Oh, like the chip made me go nuts and all. Wasn't really his fault. So
do you think that's because? And I'll just throw this out there because I don't know if there is an answer. But do you think that's maybe because the studio didn't know how young the first Spider-Man movie was going to skew because everybody came to that movie. It
I
was
remember.
PG-13, but there were 5-year-olds there. There were
Look,
3-year-olds. Everybody came to Spider-Man.
and that's a bias because
So
that was a great movie theater moment because like I don't know what's probably one for you that people were waiting for. I don't know. Like, is there one that people have been like a character you liked? Maybe I'm trying to think. Superheroes are the easiest one,
superheroes are the easiest one.
but like Spider-Man on the big screen, everybody was just like blown away.
For an adult movie, no. Like the ones I'm thinking of are like Toy Story 3 or things that are geared towards
but
kids.
like that, but with like the hype of okay, I didn't see Batman in theaters, but I'd imagine that's what it was like. Or Superman. This was a defining thing.
Yes.
Spider-Man 2 had to top that, and for a lot of people it did, but that was around the time. It's not really true because I always read the comics, but that was at this weird time when I was just a little kid reading comics,
right,
to becoming a teenager who was starting to.
Yeah, you were pretty young when the Spider-Man movies came out.
Be more critical, and that was like right at the phase where I was starting to like really like take comic books seriously, if that makes any sense. But I was at that stage.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the beginning of like, I don't know if that was the best interpretation of the character.
Okay, but here's my theory.
So
I guess,
about the age.
Okay. My theory is maybe the studio decided to do that and make Doc Ock more, oh, it's not my fault. It's these, crazy robotic arms. Make him more sympathetic because all these little kids were going to these movies. And they didn't want him to
too evil,
too scary.
No,
I don't know.
No,
that's just my theory.
But that is a good theory, except remember the first movie, Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe.
But that's what I mean. They didn't know that little kids that young were going to go see that first movie.
They thought it was going to be older kids.
PG-13.
That grew up with it.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Well, they might have thought, okay, we're banking on.
I mean, think about the Ninja Turtles. When I took my nephew, who was, I think, 9 or 10, when the most recent Ninja Turtles, not the most recent, but the recent reboot of Ninja Turtles came out, the first one with Will Arnett.
They might have wondered.
There were literally like 2 and 3-year-olds littered throughout the theater. I mean, people were just bringing their children, and it was a PG-13 movie. Turtles it was pretty violent.
But that's the thing.
But there you go.
The market continues.
The market continues, but at this point in time, in 2004, there was no real market. The superhero movies that have come out were Blade, and movies that were
because they were testing the waters,
designed
for this. And you know what? You've got. I know some behind the scenes stuff. Okay, your theory might be right.
Okay,
because
I know this industry.
I know you do.
You know how they think. Sadly,
and you know the whole reason why we have the Marvel movies now, right? Why Spider-Man came to be? X-Men? Do you know why?
No.
All right. Some people may know this, but okay.
Stanley is great. Is that why?
That's the
origin. Mallrats?
Right. Probably partially is like a step.
Partial, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Stanley and Mallrats both played a part to varying degrees, but yes, they're both right.
All right. I can't wait for this.
It's because all right. Comic books were a big medium.
Yeah.
By the time they hit the 90s, they were starting to struggling a lot more now. But the 90s, everything was overpriced because you know how back in the day, super special holographic edition, buy this one. Right. There's multiple storylines with like you have to buy 5 different comics to follow
get them, right.
And we'll say this is popular, so the collectors are buying 1,000 of things because they'll assume they'll be popular, but there's so many of them, so how much is it going to be worth?
Yeah.
So the whole industry goes bust. And Marvel's in a lot of financial trouble. So what do? We'll sell our movie rights so that we can save our comic book company, and we'll hold on to the ones that nobody cares about, like Iron Man and Thor. But Spider-Man, X-Men, maybe they can make money with those. So we'll give them to Sony or Fox.
Okay,
and that's why.
Interesting.
And the guy behind that, Mr. Avi Arad, who was one of the primary people who saved Marvel from a marketing standpoint, but didn't apparently care so much about the characters. He just was like, okay, how can we market this to make toys? Coming off the 80s. And so,
of course.
And so he was responsible for 90s Spider-Man animated series, X-Men animated series, kids like me. So maybe
loved it.
He was thinking maybe when they were marketing it, kids would be teenagers. Maybe by 2000.
That makes sense. Right.
Maybe you're right.
Which in your case was true.
They'll be about right. So, but were they thinking little kids? How scary for Doc Ock?
Right.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's just what I think.
But Sam Raimi, big Spider-Man fan, mostly from the Stan Lee 60s ones.
Okay.
Anyway, So he knew Doc Ock wasn't like that.
That's what I mean. So it was obviously a choice that was made maybe beyond his control. I don't know.
And we
It'd
saw
be interesting to hear a commentary track or something on Spider-Man 2.
if somebody knows,
You know?
yeah, let us know if there is a reason for that. If you're following along here. But yeah, did we help with the A+ question? I feel like we went off on a rant
I
there.
think the answer is there may be a few movies that, upon rewatch, or the Superman 2 that I've never seen,
Superman
may
you should see.
warrant an A+. But the truth of the matter is, most comic book movies follow a
Very
similar pattern.
basic pattern.
Very basic pattern. The villain is questionable sometimes.
Sometimes.
And the origin stories are largely the same. So
Yeah,
the answer is maybe there's some out there, but the reason Spider-Verse gets it is because it's so beyond anything that has ever been put on film.
It's a whole new level
know,
of creativity beyond just the comic book formula.
Yeah.
That's true.
But one other movie that is on our list that relates to this, because I think there may be people out there who might give this film an A+, and that is the dumbass Joker movie.
That was another topic
from 2019.
And you don't love it.
I don't love it. I gave it a B. I find it to be acceptable. It's okay. Now, first of all, I will say I'm not a huge Joaquin Phoenix fan. You know that.
I know.
Other than Walk the Line, he doesn't do anything really that I think is that great. But
I forget if I even reviewed it for my channel. I think I did. I had to have.
I feel like you did.
I did. I didn't love it that much, though.
No.
Either.
And here's the thing. The problem with it is, for me, it really doesn't have anything to do with
the
Joker, that
character.
Whole, right. They labeled it the Joker
to sell
so
more.
It would sell more tickets.
But if you took the makeup off,
it's just Diary of a Crazy Person, descend into madness kind of thing, like whatever.
Which would have been fine.
Mental health man, whatever they want to call it. But
they slapped Joker.
Right. They just slapped the Joker on it.
It's true.
That's problem number one.
That's kind of
problem number two is something that we were kind of talking about at length earlier, is that to me, this movie is just a ripoff of Taxi Driver, and then you brought up the other
King of Comedy,
which I haven't seen.
Neither have I.
Taxi Driver,
but people say it's a straight ripoff.
And
apparently,
it's a nice homage to those movies. It's really not. It's a straight up ripoff. Like to me, there's a difference between homage and just ripping a movie off completely. And the fact that Robert De Niro
is so on the nose
in this movie is so on the nose. So
you think it's not as clever as it thinks it is?
I think it's very much not as clever as it thinks it is. I think the people that like this movie, and I know there's a lot of them out there. I get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
The ones that I know personally that love this movie are the ones who I could easily see just picking up a gun and going into a Walmart and shooting everybody one of these days. Yes. And so to me, that is like frightening.
Well, look, the thing is, I like dark films. I'll admit, I do. I like dark movies, but I did not enjoy watching Joker. It's like the whole movie was made to feel kind of dirty and just it was sad, but I didn't enjoy it that much. And I guess maybe I'm okay. Maybe this was also an expectation thing. On one hand, if I was expecting a straight up Taxi Driver homage, I just would watch something like Taxi Driver again. But when I was thinking Joker, I was thinking Joker should kind of be fun, even if it's dark, because he's the Joker, And it didn't really feel like a comic book movie.
I mean, what do you think other than this dumb movie? What is the darkest portrayal of the Joker character? Whether it's animated series, whether it's from one of the comic books, or one of the movies. What do you think it is?
The darkest. Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, Nicholson was fairly dark.
He was dark. He was dark, but he was pretty. He was
like a jokey dark.
He was pretty cartoony by modern standards. He was darker than the '60s show for sure.
Certainly darker than Caesar Romero.
But he wasn't Dark Knight,
Right.
No, he was a good comic book, very very comic book brought to life Joker.
Do you think it's Ledger, maybe?
For on screen
or one of the animateds?
Okay, well, to be honest with you, First of all, the real answer is the darkest I think I've seen the Joker in anything people know is probably in some of the more popular comics.
Okay.
And you've seen some of the
Like
movies.
Killing Joke, maybe?
Killing Joke. You haven't read Long Halloween. Hopefully it'll get an
No.
anime. Long Halloween's great.
Okay.
I really love that one. Not the darkest Joker actually, but Killing Joke is obvious. Dark Knight Returns, Joker. You might remember the future animated one where he's like,
Okay.
"Hello, darling." You know, their
Yeah.
great knife fight where he
Sounds
literally
familiar.
kills himself to like frame with a cracking
It's pretty
neck.
dark.
It's pretty freaking
Yeah,
scary.
it's dark.
Frank Miller gets about as dark as it gets, but probably one of those or some of the more recent comics where he's literally cutting off his own face. And, anyway, so
Yikes.
sometimes the Joker
Okay.
goes really effing dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, for on screen, probably either the Dark Knight Returns or the Killing Joke, the good part of it.
Okay. Yeah. Killing Joke was two separate movies for sure.
Yeah, where that's a whole thing.
But so then the other thing that we were discussing earlier that makes me mad about this Joker movie.
Okay.
Is all of the like praise and awards love. And to me,
you think it's just a giveaway?
Well, I think it's BS because I know you hate the Academy, you hate what they think and everything, but one of the big criticisms of the Academy has been for the last 20 years probably. They don't pick mainstream movies, they don't pick popular movies. You don't pick any
anybody actually saw.
You don't pick any superhero movies. Superhero movies have dominated the box office for a decade or more, and they don't pick them except for Black Panther.
Look, for me to care more about what the Oscars thinks, they'd have to start actually like lobbying for things outside their own stuff.
Here's the thing: when I was really getting into movies and adult movies and not just cartoons and stuff, it was in the 90s. There were movies that were up for Best Picture that were Silence of the Lambs, Thelma and Louise, Forrest Gump, Shawshank,
variety,
Titanic.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Big box office hits.
Like, is this something to talk about?
And there's definitely been some that have I thought were good movies.
All right.
But like Moonlight, nobody saw Moonlight.
But at the same time, to voice some other opinions here, if theoretically they want to cover all the movies that they possibly can, wouldn't you want to give some limelight to independent stuff that people may have missed?
Yes, and look, Parasite was absolutely, for me, the best movie of 2019.
It was very
I'm
good.
glad it was up there, and I'm glad it won.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, putting Joker up for so many awards when it is, in my opinion, very unoriginal and just a Scorsese ripoff, when there are way better movies that could have been in there. But more to the point, for the Academy to now be able to say, like, oh, no, we nominate superhero movies. Look, we comic book movies. Oh yeah, we got the Joker and we got Black Panther. You got Black Panther because of the Oscar So White controversy. You were like, well, we got to nominate Black Panther.
Previous year, yeah.
And then you got in Joker because it's a comic book movie that isn't at all a comic book.
Kind of in name only.
In name only, yes. So that's what pisses me off about that.
And I was looking at it also from a more comic book, just fan point stand. And I know that you actually think that I'm pretty open-minded with that stuff.
I really do.
I'm not usually like, oh, it's not like the comic.
You're not a comic snob.
I feel like I used to be worse.
Okay.
But if it is true it has to be true to the character. If I don't think it's true to the character, I'm like, no. I'm like, no.
You definitely are knowledgeable, but you also can justify in your mind the difference in mediums.
Yes.
That other than Into the Spider-Verse, not every comic book is going to translate exactly the same to the screen.
No, and to be honest, that's the thing. I think it's so wonderful is that what the MCU's done, and
taking different steps.
Look, this is the thing, and they found a way to make it work by making a compromise. And I'll tell you right now, if this was like 2005 or something, and you told me they were going to make a Thor movie that was good and looked good, and they made Loki in his terrible costume look good, I'd be like, ha ha, that's never going to happen. Right. And I'm wrong. They made it happen.
Remember when Guardians of the Galaxy
came out, like,
you were like, who even is this?
I didn't know
comic books and I don't even know.
I was like, I don't know the Guardians. I'm like, this is pretty wacky.
And then it turned out to literally be your favorite movie of the year.
It's one of my favorite Marvels still. I love both of them. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think that might be A+. That was A+ for me.
Yes, I believe I mentioned that it's original. It's very original. Well, and that's why of all of them, I think that might warrant the A+.
Especially with that soundtrack, with your music love. Like, dude, that soundtrack is killer.
Yes, both the Guardians movies have great soundtracks.
Love, but come on.
But point being, I don't think you're a comic book snob.
Not as much as I used to be.
Yes.
I think I used to be a little more of a comic book snob.
I think even as recent as when we were doing Film Fanatics.
Yeah, maybe a little more. I was like, oh man. But
I mean, especially the Amazing Spider-Man fight.
Yeah, that was a fight, though. I honestly forget why. I think
I wasn't involved in it.
I know. It might have been just about the portrayals of the characters or something. Right. But that was an example too. Like I could sometimes say, I really liked Andrew Garfield's performance, even though I'll admit that he wasn't very nerdy, in that vein. But
it was definitely a different take on the character.
But he was still an outsider. I can be flexible.
Okay.
I can be flexible.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, I don't think it necessarily has to be a lot like the comic, but then again, if they can bring it to screen, I'm happy.
But this movie Joker, one of your big gripes is the portrayal of the Wayne family.
And this is the thing. Okay, this is where I'm like, I think a lot of people might say, that was awesome because we're taking a look at the upper class and the Waynes maybe weren't so great. And maybe I'm just uncomfortable thinking of Bruce Wayne's parents of maybe being part of the problem. Like maybe that's more realistic, but is that true?
But it's never been how it's portrayed from what you told me.
I think there's some video games, the Telltale games or something, where they make the Waynes like corrupt or something. But I'm like, a lot of people don't like those games either. So I don't know. That's very divisive. So I mean, maybe that's some of my embedded. All right, you know what? To be honest, I don't know if I really care that much about the Waynes because they're superfluous characters. Anyway, they're important because they died,
right?
But
to create the Batman.
But I always heard that they were supposed to be good people, and they were good role models because they raised a person who, despite being obsessive and clearly having issues, still wants to try and make the world a better place, right? So, I mean, I choose to believe they weren't horrible, but maybe they did. They were philanthropists. In the comics, they're philanthropists. They literally, he has a hospital for poor people.
They're big D-bags.
So
everyone hates them. They're
and I get it, but I'm like, I don't know.
Don't call the movie Joker. It's just call the movie Taxi Driver Part 2.
But nobody would have seen it then.
I know, and that's what pisses me off.
My Taxi Driver. And don't get me wrong. When I first watched it, I'm like, oh, this is a cool homage. Because it really does look like this is 70s New York or Gotham.
And they got the look.
Chicago.
They got the look great.
It looked grimy. And I'm like, okay.
Todd Phillips did a great job with the look.
The cinematography, the editing, like you made it seem like Taxi Driver. And that's awesome. But I think that's what they were trying to do. And they just slapped Joker. And that's what I'm saying. Okay. With the Wayne stuff and the themes, I just feel like the movie's thematics were also kind of all over the place.
They were.
So that's also, when I came out of it, I didn't know how I was supposed to feel.
Right.
And that was, maybe it means the thinker, maybe it means it just wasn't focused.
Right.
And I think that's some of the
I didn't know what to think when I came out of Pulp Fiction. That was the first movie that I saw, and I was like, I don't know what I literally said to my friend, I don't know what I just watched. And
it's kind of weird.
I thought about it for the next week because no movie had really, ever done that before.
Out of sequence time,
sequence and weird. All the different things and the
killing some of the characters in the middle. And...
Yes. But yes, I agree. Sometimes it means you need to think on it, and sometimes it just means that was a bad movie.
And sometimes time you figure it out, I guess.
And I don't think Joker's necessarily a
bad I don't
movie.
think so either.
I gave it a B.
It's well made.
It's acceptable. It is well made.
And the performance is good.
And Joaquin's performance is actually great.
It's very good.
I still don't know if I would have given him Best Actor Oscar, but okay. I would have maybe given it to him for Walk the Line.
But the writing also, I will say with the writing, the laugh thing. People point out the laugh, how they worked that into his character. That was kind of cool. I like that.
That was fine.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And that was creepy.
It had many interesting elements
to it. There are a lot of cool ideas.
But it angers me. Just in general.
But it angers me.
It just angers me that people are just obsessed with how much they love this movie. And the Academy is just falling all over themselves to give awards to this movie.
Yeah.
And there were so many better movies last year.
I got you.
I am glad Parasite won because Parasite did deserve it. Mm-hmm. But, there are many movies that I thought were much better done than Joker. And it just makes me mad that the Academy is going to use this as next time there's a big dust up. Oh, why didn't you nominate, Wonder Woman 1984, whatever. Oh, well, look, we nominate comic book movies all the time. This isn't a comic book movie.
Barely.
It's in name only, like you said.
But
it makes me mad that this movie is a Joker movie.
All right.
That's all.
There's another level though, because one of the cool things about comics that I love them as a medium is that you can say it's about a superhero, right? But with a superhero, you could tell a lot of different types of stories.
Sure.
So people might say, okay, the Joker is just an allegory for this story.
Okay.
So okay, it doesn't have
That's
to
fair.
be a comic book movie and super colorful and fantastical and over the top to necessarily be a comic book movie. Like,
no, like, I mean, look, Logan is not a normal comic book movie.
That's a good example.
At all. But
yeah, actually,
but it was much better.
But it's also very much.
It's also about
the character
and Logan, and about Professor X.
And there's still mutants and stuff. Like it's still a comic book movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
This is the least adjacent to a comic book movie
you could
possibly be.
You're probably right. It's right. Like, it's very loose. Okay, he's very loose. He's not the Joker. The Waynes aren't in it.
Yes,
it's just about a guy with.
It's about a guy with mental issues, and he's dealing with them,
and societal commentary. Right. So it's very loose.
I don't know.
I think you're right.
But all right.
I
think that's our Joker bitching segment.
That's literally what I called it. Joker bitching.
That's what you wrote.
So I got the little vernacular. Do you want to save the movie thing, or I kind of like the other one?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. This one is, some of you guys might know I am something of a He-Man fan. Fanatic?
Well, fan.
Okay, I'm a He-Man. All right.
Maybe you were right the first time.
I'm not a fanatic. If I was a fanatic, I would have had all the toys.
I guess that's true.
Okay, here's the thing.
I had some of the toys.
You did?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in my mom.
Damn it!
I told you. My mom threw out all of my toys. All my original Star Wars toys. They're all gone.
He does have some original trilogy Star Wars VHS tapes, though.
Well, that's true.
Unfucking edited.
I believe that's true.
You do have them.
Yeah.
And I know they're technically not worth anything, apparently, because I guess a lot of people
have so many.
But still,
cool.
But you can't get them new anywhere, so hold on to them. I would. You don't even like Star Wars that much, so
Star Wars is okay.
Yeah, I'm more of a Trek guy.
I am more of a Trek guy.
We all know this. But anyway,
but you like He-Man.
I like He-Man. Do you want to? Okay, here's the truth.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm always ready for your truths.
Why do you think I like He-Man?
Boy, that's a great question. I don't know. Why do you like He-Man so much?
Is it surprising that I like He-Man? In all honesty, because I haven't thought of. I mean, I have thought about it, but I haven't done a video on it or anything. Like, I haven't given it the most thought.
Not really, because I think you like a lot of those '80s action cartoons. You like Transformers.
I do.
You like Thundercats. They're okay.
I haven't really seen a full episode of Thundercats.
Is that right?
I've only seen a few episodes of G1 Transformers.
What about the GoBots?
Never saw GoBots.
What about Voltron?
I've never seen Voltron.
You've never seen Voltron?
I've never seen Voltron.
All right, now I'm outing you on many things.
No,
here.
There are some things I've missed.
Never seen Voltron. Okay, so yes, now I'm very shocked. Why do you like He-Man so much?
He-Man is the one of the classic '80s action cartoons that I grew up with.
What about G.I. Joe?
I
Joe.
Don't care about G.I. Joe.
Is that right? Okay.
I don't care about G.I. Joe.
Okay. So why did you grow up with He-Man?
Because when, you know me, when I was a kid, I would stick with something I loved and watch it obsessively.
Right.
I didn't have like a lot of cable or anything. I didn't watch a lot of TV. So, and obviously, like I grew up a little past He-Man's prime. I wouldn't have watched it on TV in the early 80s. There was a video cassette, a VHS that had 2 episodes on it.
Oh my God. So would you just watch those 2?
And I watched those 2 episodes over and over and over again.
Kids don't care.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what the second episode was, but I remember it's Evil Seed. So but I
have a lifetime attachment to this show.
based on like 1 or 2 episodes that I just, as a very little kid, I hooked into, and I never stopped liking He-Man. And I think I saw, but I only really knew that 1 episode for like years and years. And then it's only like within maybe the past like 10 that I'd occasionally watch like new episodes. And like, I like the show. And then I learned more about the lore, and like I have some comics, and I'm like,
now you're like really into it.
Now I'm actually more into He-Man than I ever actually was, based on but in terms of like actual love, like I didn't grow up with it really, other than
interesting.
Like, so, but I don't know. I like the, I guess I like the characters, heroic and
Cool villains.
Cool villains. I like. You know what? Okay, I'll tell you what I really like about He-Man. In general, is I really like science fantasy.
Okay.
He-Man's kind of based on a lot of stuff that I've come to find that I like more now, which is sword and sorcery, like Conan the Barbarian, stuff like that.
All right.
It's a very basic, like you got the hero with the sword going after the evil wizard, classic stuff. But there's something rudimentary about the simplicity of it that I think is just good, solid storytelling.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's totally
it's a
makes
good
sense.
It's a good vehicle, and He-Man was actually based on that stuff, but combined it with like elements because there's magic, but there's also sci-fi stuff. They're going different planets, so it's got a little bit of everything.
See that.
And I like stuff that's a wacky world. It's one reason I like Dragon Ball so much, because you want to talk about a wacky world that's got everything in the pot.
Yeah,
it's got everything.
Makes sense.
And I just like then when things can pull that off. I don't know. So maybe it's just the collision of it. I just like the world. I like the characters a lot. I think they're iconic. And I admit the original, but I think I like I know there's a new show coming out, the classic 80s show I love, partially because of its cheese and its camp, but I still think it's good despite its camp. And I think that's one of those things and because I have so little nostalgic attachment to it, I think it's more legitimate.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that.
And that's something I'm always fascinated by. Remember the one podcast that got deleted, the great
Yes,
So Bad It's Good. Like, what is that? We'll have to have that conversation again.
Podcast, yeah.
But it's one of those great examples. So I legitimately like it, and part of it is the camp. And okay, I'll tell you what. He-Man as a character, I love because he's so good. He's one of those lawful good pinnacles, almost to the point where it's ridiculous. But he's a paragon from the 80s. But I like it, and it seems genuine. And he's just a nice guy. He's just a nice guy. He's a nice guy with great powers, Adam, and he's so overpowered. It's stupid.
Yes.
Like you want to say Superman versus He-Man? It's over. It's over. It's over. It's ridiculous. But I don't know. It's the whole ridiculous stuff. It's great. His unabashed goodness, despite, like, for instance, Skeletor. He has faith that Skeletor is just gonna, get better one day. Like, oh, Skeletor, like he really does. Like he just does, and he's not a threat. Skeletor is not a threat to him. He-Man, like and Skeletor is hilarious.
It's pretty classic.
Great villain.
Skeletor is funny.
I love Skeletor. It's just a great looking villain too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the world, the characters. But anyway, you could talk a little bit about He-Man too, because I think you actually grew up with it more, which is why you kind of like it.
Okay, so so here's what's interesting, and this never really.
I'm bringing the twist tonight.
You're always bringing the twist. This never occurred to me until really probably a few years ago, probably when I was talking about it with you one of these times back in the day here, 5 years ago or something, or 6 years ago. But I grew up in the 80s, and my go-tos were, first of all, like old cartoons,
Hanna-Barbera.
We were talking about Hanna-Barbera. We were talking about Woody Woodpecker earlier.
Oh man,
that kind of stuff. The original Spider-Man series, 67 Spider-Man,
Looney Tunes,
always Tom and Jerry, that kind of stuff. But the 80s, the current 80s stuff I watched was like Muppet Babies, Alvin and the Chipmunks.
He wasn't into like
Garfield,
the action stuff.
But my two brothers were watching G.I. Joe and Mask and He-Man and Transformers and GoBots and Voltron and all of that.
Real Ghostbusters?
Yeah, I guess so. That was like late 80s. So we were a little over by then. But the only one of the like action shows that I watched was He-Man.
It's interesting.
I thought Orko was funny. I thought the villains were cool. But it wasn't until about 5 or 6 years ago talking to you, and you were just like, well, yeah, like that makes total sense. Like you're gay, He-Man's gay.
I don't think I said that. I don't know.
You didn't say it exactly like that, but you were just like that. That makes sense that was the one that you kind of gravitated to. And I mean, I didn't know at the time I was gay, but it makes sense that would, for some reason, gravitate me towards it, because Adam is so clearly a gay character.
And this is the topic I wanted to get into, and your perspective is interesting. There was a great documentary on Netflix, I think. It's called, I think, By the Power of Grayskull. Fantastic documentary. Check it out.
I will.
Like just about the history of the He-Man character, from the action figures to the little comics, and then what it blossomed into. Just the passion. Like it was. You like the Pixar stuff. This was like that. I didn't realize there were so many people that cared so much about He-Man. And He-Man he's He-Man. He's a popular character for a reason. And I loved the I forget, it was one of the artistic designers and one of the writers. Someone was like, the thing we wanted to make appealing about He-Man was like that any young kid, no matter who they were, could have that. I have the power, and I have the
Wow.
power. I can do this,
Yeah.
and He-Man. So it was like, and like the X-Men or something could be an allegory.
Right.
Kids could go to He-Man and say, I can be like that. I feel uplifted, like a lot of great characters. And so the that might speak to that a little.
Yeah.
And so obviously, as pop culture knows, I think one reason why He-Man is so popular in pop culture is because of the fact that he's kind of the parody of him being unabashedly effeminately gay.
He really is. It's like when we watched a couple of episodes a few years ago, like it was so clear
when he's Adam.
When he's Adam.
Adam.
Specifically when he's Adam.
Not when he's He-Man.
No. But you brought up a great point that this guy who really is, I mean, he's rather effeminate.
A little bit.
And a bit fey. He turns into this hulking dude that is
takes
the
care of business.
Strongest person who takes care of business. A real man's man, as they say.
Yeah.
And he really maybe on a very subconscious level when I was a kid, because I mean, I realized I was gay in like 7th grade, but who knows, when I was 7 or 8 watching this show, I'm sure the wheels were turning. And who knows what kind of thing that did for my subconscious to see like, well, this dude is kicking everybody's ass around town, and then he goes home and takes a hot bath and like, hey everybody, I'm back. And it's like, where's my cat? And I was like, boy, this speaks to me.
Wow.
But
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, because you didn't know this, but earlier this week, Nickelodeon released a statement about SpongeBob.
Oh yeah,
basically saying like, hey, it's Pride Month. Guess what? SpongeBob is part of the. I mean, they didn't really specify what he was, but they were just like he's part of the community, whatever.
Huh.
And it, one of my friends posted about it on their Facebook, and it was a meme or whatever, and it was just like. Or who cares what he is because it's a kid's show and kids shouldn't be thinking about, whether he likes what genitals he likes, whatever.
Sure.
And my friend commented on that and said, right, but it doesn't stop cartoons from like having boy and girl cartoons being hooked up and stuff. And I thought, that's completely true because like the Chipmunks, they all had Chipettes.
Yeah.
And all of the movie, all the kid shows when I was a kid, other than He-Man, but like Smurfette, all the Smurfs wanted to, get with Smurfette. And so on and so forth. But He-Man never had anybody.
I mean, I guess
man or female that was like after him, whatever.
I guess there was Teela, but she was more of like just another warrior woman.
She was just like his buddy. I
always thought they were more friends.
Yeah. So no, so I think it's great if even if it doesn't matter because SpongeBob never goes out with anybody anyway or kisses anybody. Who cares? But I just think that who knows how He-Man affected my psyche. As a young gay kid that didn't even know he was gay yet, seeing that guy just kicking everybody's ass, but clearly being gay.
Maybe.
So I don't know. I think it's very cool that Nickelodeon did that. I know it's very hip to support Pride and all the big businesses have to support Pride and stuff, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
He-Man kind of did it without.
He-Man did it way back in the day. I mean, God, can you imagine if they did say it? That would never happen.
Well,
in the 80s, but
yeah, they wouldn't say it. That would have killed all the toys.
Man, I don't think there's any out kids cartoon characters, are there? Unless you want to count SpongeBob now, but I mean, I can't think of any.
Well, I think there are some more modern cartoons where the characters are bi
for kids,
gay.
Though.
Yeah, I think
you
so.
Think?
I thought Steven Universe or one of those shows
that could be
maybe did it, but I don't really know.
That could be.
Let us know. I guess if that's the case.
But certainly not anything as mainstream as a He-Man.
No,
or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, I sort of always thought Pee-wee Herman. Not that that's a cartoon, but I mean, Pee-wee's Playhouse was on around that same time. I mean, I was probably 10 when that came out. I mean, he always talked about Miss Yvonne was the prettiest woman in town or whatever, but I don't know. I always
You really buy it?
I kind of thought he was gay, you know?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I always thought he was just Pee-wee.
But that's the thing. He's just Pee-wee. He's just Pee-wee. He's just, being himself and doing his thing and whatever. And I think that's kind of SpongeBob's whole thing too. But
well, he's a sponge though. Like he's literally a sponge.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, don't people date in Bikini Bottom?
They do.
I don't watch a ton of SpongeBob, but I mean, people have boyfriends and girlfriends in Bikini Bottom.
I don't know. I think he was into
Right?
Sally Squirrel. Is that her name?
Sandy?
Sandy Squirrel. Sandy Squirrel. Sandy the Squirrel. I don't know if they were friends or.
I think they were just friends.
Right? There it is.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
You go.
Not good. All right. All right.
But anyway, point is, He-Man's a big homo, and it's great.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool that they clearly, I think, had to know that people were talking at the time, but they didn't change the character. They didn't.
But they've never come out and said it.
No, but
do you think they should? Would that hurt the character if they actually did and turned a lot of people off to him?
Truth be told, in 2020, no, I think it makes people flock to them.
Okay.
Because then it appeals to a whole different audience.
Okay.
I feel like the My Little Pony stuff. I mean, I don't know if that's gay necessarily, but it's
that attracts a lot of people of different proclivities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
word.
I'm not
it's
a
true.
brony,
Proclivity.
but I watched the first episode of that new show, and I thought it was good.
I didn't see the new show, but I did watch the movie that came out a couple years ago. It was all right. I liked when Sia was in it. And her pony had like the thing over her face.
Did you ever watch the original one?
Very infrequently. And okay, so this is what's weird.
Okay.
So I watched He-Man as the only like action show, but the other shows I watched were not like the girly show. Like I didn't watch Strawberry Shortcake. I didn't watch Care Bears. I didn't watch My Little Pony when I was a kid. I mostly watched just like the Alvin and the Chipmunks kind of stuff, like just sort of funny shows. Chippendale Rescue Rangers and DuckTales. Yeah, like I watched all that stuff.
Did you ever watch Tailspin? Was that a little after your time?
Yeah, I mean it was around because I have younger siblings, so I mean
Tailspin.
But I never watched it a lot. That and actually the Goof Troop. That was a little after my time, sadly. I probably would have really liked Goof Troop if I gave it a chance, but
you watched Batman a little, right?
A little bit, yeah. The animated series. Yeah.
Did you ever watch X-Men?
You know what? I watched one episode because it was on a Saturday morning when I was babysitting. But other than that, no.
Do you remember what episode it was?
I remember Gambit was in it.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps. Because he's not a main character, right?
In that show, he's one of the main ones.
Oh, was he? Okay.
That's why people like him, probably.
Oh, okay.
Honestly.
Because he was in that Wolverine movie.
Oh.
It was horrible.
Oh.
What's his face played him? John Carter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, John Carter.
Yeah. Taylor Kitsch. Yeah.
That was a bad movie.
It was a bad movie. Speaking of bad movies, RoboCop 2014. Do you like my segues tonight?
You're keeping them up.
I'm on the segues. You had a great idea for a topic.
Yeah, this is the main one.
Talk about
the first one, because I honestly couldn't think. I'm sure I'll think of them. I might even pull a list up here, but like movies that just shouldn't be remade.
Right.
Like what are there? They just shouldn't be. Like,
and we've seen many examples of movies that were remade and just not done well.
Yeah.
But
does that mean they could not have been remade?
But right there's I think a difference between like Total Recall. I think you could remake Total Recall if you actually remake Total Recall, where he actually goes to Mars and does all the things.
Yeah, goes.
The Colin Farrell version, was that who it was?
Yes,
was not good.
No,
it wasn't good. But the RoboCop was particularly offensive to you.
At the time, I do think I might have been.
Failed it.
I did. I think I might have been a tad harsh on the movie, but I still stand by a lot of my feelings because I feel like it did a lot. I think it got a lot of things wrong about the character, but most of all, especially after having watched the other movie, I think in lieu of it, again, I think around the time that remake came out, it just seemed completely unnecessary.
Well, before the remake came out, we definitely watched it because I had never seen it.
I insisted on it.
And you insisted on it. And what did I say after that movie?
You said to me that I don't understand why they remade it. You don't need to remake that movie.
I gave it an A+.
Yeah.
And this was 20, let's
which
say,
surprised me
close to
because
30 years after the fact.
and it didn't seem like a movie I thought you would give an A+ to. It still surprises me to this day, but you really
All right,
liked
now
it.
listen, folks. Here is
I didn't think so.
why the no superhero movie gets an A+ conversation is interesting to you.
Yeah.
Because I have a wide variety of A+ movies.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what I'm going to give an A+.
No,
RoboCop, you did not think.
Did not think it.
I didn't think I would give it an A+. I liked it better than Die Hard.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't give that an A+.
Did you like it better than Terminator or Terminator 2? Or?
I definitely liked it better than Terminator 1.
T2 is pretty classic.
Probably. I think I probably liked it better than T2.
Wow.
Of all the... I was not raised to watch like violent movies. So most of these movies I did not see until I met you. And yes, that includes Die Hard. My brother, he snuck into the movie theater to see Die Hard, but I was,
Die Hard is great.
Little kid that wanted to do the right thing, and I didn't sneak into movies and whatever. So I never saw Die Hard until like 2015 or something. But no, RoboCop I thought was better.
Huh.
Total Recall is the only one that we watched a lot growing up for some reason.
Which you do love.
I don't know why. Of course, who doesn't?
Best Arnold for you, right? Still?
Yeah, still. I would think, yeah.
Not Maggie?
T2 is definitely up there though. I can see why everyone loves Terminator 2 Judgment Day. That's fine.
It's always been the one I preferred more.
But no, RoboCop bested them all. A+ all the way. Timeless. And why are you remaking it?
And maybe there was a way to do it, but I think that they're in talks possibly for doing a sequel with Peter Weller to come back.
Oh, well, that'd be good.
Which I don't know if that's actually happening.
So that would be the fourth one with him, right? Wasn't he in
he
was not in 3?
No.
Really?
Nope.
Okay.
And for a long time, he said he was done with it. So
was 3 direct to video?
No, I think it got a theatrical.
Okay. I know 2 did.
2 did.
2 was a big hit.
Pretty big. Two's not
several years later though. Wasn't there like a 6-year gap?
Like 1990 or something?
Yeah, I think the first one was 85 or 86.
I think RoboCop is like, obviously one of my favorite films. I think it's one of the best. And I think there's this big dip, but I think RoboCop 2 is good.
Okay.
I think it's like a B+ maybe. It's
not bad for an action sequel.
Definitely pretty flawed. Like, how like obviously RoboCop's pretty dark, got a lot of dark humor. Dark. I think they upped that to the point where it's almost like, is this fun? I don't know anymore.
Wow. Okay.
And it's weird. So I don't know. You'd have to watch some time and tell me what you think. I think it's got a great villain. But anyway, are there any other movies you think that shouldn't be remade like RoboCop?
I think there's a lot of movies that shouldn't be remade, and specifically from that era. I think the 1980s, because that's when a lot of directors were at their peak.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Spielberg among them, Zemeckis among them.
Robert.
And I think, look, there's always going to be people remaking things that maybe don't deserve it. I don't think Ghostbusters should have been remade.
No, probably
not. I didn't hate the Women Ghostbusters version, but it certainly wasn't necessary.
No, unfortunately.
But I think there's a slew of movies that very much still hold up today.
Mm-hmm.
And the proof is in the pudding, because people that grew up on these movies are now showing them to their young kids and their teenage kids, and are getting the same type of response.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's really, 2 or 3 main ones, but Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, Rob, I can't touch Back to the Future.
You can't touch Back to the Future. Never remake it. The Goonies. I think The Goonies holds up just as good for kids today as it did 35 years ago, whatever.
Do you think a lot of these are due to the chemistry of the actors? Is that partially what it is?
I think that's part of it. Mm-hmm. And I think you can have movies that have that same type of chemistry. Like Super 8 is a very Goonies-ish movie.
Mm-hmm.
Abrams obviously has that Spielberg spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Spielberg might have produced Super 8.
Oh yeah.
Abrams, I think, directed it. But a group of no-name kid actors that came together and did something unique, just like Goonies. But it wasn't the Goonies, and it had nothing to do with the Goonies. And Stranger Things is another example of that. On the TV level,
big time.
But I think Goonies for sure, Back to the Future for sure, and honestly, I think E.T. never needs to be remade either. E.T.
Yeah,
Look, you can maybe do a couple cool things with the effects, but dude, with the practical effects of that
it's
movie,
timeless.
it's timeless.
That's another thing
They
too.
they went over the ridge and flew up to the moon with no CGI.
That's just great filmmaking right there, and I think it's just a testament
It's
to
still
the
magical.
practical effects. If it comes off on the camera and it seems like it's there, do we need to try to fix it in the computer? I
Right.
think that's one of my big talking
Well,
points.
Mad Max Fury Road is the perfect example of a recent movie with
Man.
that. The practical effects of that rival any CGI from any movie.
There is some
CGI in the last 30 years
in it. There is
a little bit though, but the bulk of it is practical.
So much of that was practical, and that's one reason why I think it's amazing, because you don't see that, especially on that scale anymore.
That was your number one of the decade.
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah. That cat is so not happy.
Yeah, I'm gonna let her out now. She's been good. Hopefully, she won't crawl over the place.
But yeah, I think that those are three movies from like the early to mid '80s that you just can't remake because they're still perfect as is. They are still, transfixing audiences just like they did 30 years ago.
Give us some air. Just a little stuffy in here.
I also think, in that same vein,
mm-hmm.
my favorite.
Wizard
I don't think The Wizard of Oz should ever be remade. It's been 80 years now, and there's been a couple of like nonsense sequels.
Oh man, nonsense sequels and kind
of. And then like, Oz the Great and Powerful. I liked that Disney movie with Franco. Liked it. I mean, if it never existed, would it matter? No. I don't think it's necessary to the canon.
I know that's your favorite movie. I
don't know if it's
isn't it your favorite movie, Wizard of Oz?
The original Wizard of Oz, yes.
Yeah,
favorite movie.
Your favorite movie. I don't know. I think that
you think they should remake it.
I don't know if they should, but I could see somebody.
They certainly could.
I think they could, and there could be some interesting things you could do with it visually, perhaps. But I don't know if it necessarily has to be remade.
I think it is still transfixing audiences and still enamoring children
to this
day 80 years on.
Another one.
Why would you remake it?
There's really no need to,
because
it's still working. People still like it. People are still coming back.
Because I think that's why you want to remake something.
Yeah.
When there's, we can do much better effects now, or we can, this actor, would be perfect to, fill this role, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the ones on your list?
One actually that came up recently was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes, which they did, of course, with Depp.
And I don't think they needed to do that.
I have some mixed feelings about that.
Do you?
Because I actually enjoyed it.
Really?
It's closer to the book.
I've heard that.
Than the Wilder version. And as a kid, we didn't grow up watching the Wilder version all the time, that I know a lot of people did. So I personally didn't have the attachment that many people do. So I think for people that were really attached to the Wilder version, it's nonsense to do the Depp.
I get that it's closer to the book, but I don't know. I guess that movie is just seen as being much like Wizard of Oz, comparable. It's so perfect. It doesn't necessarily.
Yes, people
didn't need it.
I do agree with that. Was it necessary? Probably not. I do think the original Willy Wonka still does hold up. It still is delighting children and adults alike 40 years on.
I got a couple for you.
Okay.
Actually, I got a couple. I mean, they're pretty obvious. And I know you haven't seen this one, but I think there's absolutely no reason to remake The Godfather.
Okay.
I can see that because, and I hope you see it one day. But my thing about The Godfather.
Me too. I would like to see it.
No. I got plenty I haven't seen too. But I've wondered, and I've got to make a video about this at some point. And I've wondered like what it is about The Godfather that I think is great, that makes it stand the test of time. And there's obviously a lot of stuff that's been discussed. But this is something that I has really hooked me from the first time I watched it, even as a young person. Because I watched it pretty young. I think The Godfather, just in the way it's presented, like the way it is filmed, the way it is shot, it is timeless.
Well, and look, I think that is definitely something that is a factor more with dramatic movies than like everything I've been saying is more of a fantasy thing that you could maybe enhance with effects.
Okay.
Like, for example, Casablanca. I don't think you've ever seen it.
True. I've not.
But I've seen it and I love it. And there's virtually no reason to remake it because it's not filled with action sequences. It's a drama. And I think in that vein, you're right. And I think movies like Shawshank Redemption never need to be remade.
That was another one.
So continue if you had more thoughts on The Godfather, but I think that's probably why.
Yeah, Shawshank was one of
it's so timeless.
I don't think there's anything that there's no need to remake it. I think it's just you could get everything you need from that.
And a lot of Hitchcock movies. Remember when they did that stupid Psycho shot for shot that I've never seen, but like proving that you shouldn't remake Psycho, they remade it and then just made the exact same movie.
Well, the thing about it
was interesting, I'm sure, as an experiment.
I'm going to say it here for anybody that cares. I kind of like the Gus Van Sant
Psycho. I know you do.
But
it's just so silly.
Because it is cool that it
proves the point that it didn't need to be remade.
I think it's cool for that in a weird way, as a weird experiment.
Yes, it's a weird experiment. As a big budget theatrical release, I don't know.
I also like it because Vince Vaughn is Norman Bates and he's creepy.
Vince Vaughn can be creepy,
and I thought he did a good job. I like Vince Vaughn as a villain, so I guess that was one.
Yeah, you hate his comedy.
It's not true.
I know.
So I'm okay. Vince Vaughn's all over the place.
Yeah.
But no, I just think The Godfather, every time I'd watch it, like just the way it was filmed, I remember the first time watching it, and even to this day, if I looked at The Godfather, and if you watch it, you'd probably be thinking, does this seem like this was filmed in the early 70s? Not really.
Right.
Like, and that's how ahead of its time it was. It's not really, it's redefining its own thing.
Right.
And it's very unique. And
that's what I think about Wizard of Oz. I mean, when people that watch Wizard of Oz, does it seem like it was made 80 years ago when they're doing the effects of the tornado and the house dropping and the special effects with the witch and stuff? Like, to me, that's more of a 50s or 60s vibe than 30s.
All right, I'll say this though.
I know you hate the Wizard of Oz.
No. The truth comes out. Wizard of Oz, worst movie ever made.
All the secrets tonight.
This is the biggest twist of all. No, I don't have the incredible love for it that you do.
I grew up on it.
It's
the best.
But we watched it not too long ago. We actually watched
it on the big screen.
In big screen, we did it. Your theater was showing it, and I never actually appreciated the level of special effects that went into it and how impressive that was for the time.
Right.
However, I think some people could make the case that, if you
do it better now,
you could do it better now. You could do it easier now. It would look less fake now. Sure. But this is going to go into a weird segue argument as well, actually. We're going to go back to the cam thing a little bit.
Okay.
I think I really like things that are a testament to the history of their time. And because I love practical effects and the magic of filmmaking and editing and the photography and stuff. What's that? This is bad. What's that filmmaker that Hugo was about?
Oh, George Méliès.
Like the Méliès guy, like the stuff that they were able to do just with the film and overlay. Like literally make magic. Filmmaking's magic. And that's one reason I love movies. Isn't this cat adorable?
Love that cat.
Love this cat. But it's a little bean. But I think Wizard of Oz is a testament to that. Like it's so cool they did it back then and it impresses us today, even though you could say, all right, it looks fake. Doesn't matter. It still transports you anyway.
Right. And I would say no, it does not matter.
It doesn't matter. But like this goes to something like I don't know if the special effects are quite as good, but we're going to talk about Star Trek again.
Okay.
I love the original series.
Yes,
I do. And
corny.
You could remake
campy,
silly, but it's still good for what it is.
It's got such deep themes though, like that. And God, we've talked about various specific episodes over the years when we were doing them, but there are some heavy themes in those shows, as campy as it was,
and somehow that works. And and obviously it worked for a lot of people. And I wouldn't say go back and remake those episodes.
No, but I'll tell you one thing. So my dad has been using my Netflix. I wanted him to start watching The Crown.
Oh, nice.
So I hooked him up with Netflix, and they've watched several things on it. But one of the things my dad said to me when I was home recently was, "Oh my God, the original Star Trek has never looked this good."
Okay.
And I had to explain to him, like, "Oh yes, well they they remastered it, they did all these great things with it," and he was like, "This is amazing."
Okay, and this is another little argument too, and this is, I think, a great Star Wars Star Trek comparison.
Yeah,
Lucas went in and changed a bunch of stuff and matched in. They
don't
HD
care for that.
replenished it, and they did add in little tidbits of CGI and polished up stuff, but it was to enhance what was already there. It still
Right.
looks cheesy,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, but it looks good.
But here's the thing: like my dad had all the episodes on videotape that he had taped in the
Oh.
80s and 90s in reruns. So he was watching that version for decades.
Mm,
And then to see it like this was just completely new. It was like he had never seen it before.
nice.
And he was so excited. And so I think that's something. If you want to re-release The Wizard of Oz
Enhanced in
with
some way.
enhanced, and they did a 3D version of it for the 75th, and it was okay.
Okay.
But like, yeah, if you want to enhance the tornado scene, add a couple of effects or whatever, cool. But like, I don't think you need to remake something like that.
All right, he'll play something.
Okay.
Would you be okay with the reinterpretation? Say like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory versus Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like I know Wizard of Oz also kind of similar to Willy Wonka, very famous but not super accurate to the books. Trying to kind of remake it but closer, doing those iconic scenes but done well, maybe with allusions to that movie, but not trying to replace it.
I think something that specifically, I guess, in the Oz world, that they've done well is a lot of these offshoots.
Mhm.
Like the Broadway show Wicked is at some point supposed to make it to the big screen. They've been talking about it for years, and so you have that. You have Oz the Great and Powerful with James Franco. You have that god awful animated movie where Patrick Stewart plays the boat.
Tugboat.
Horrible.
Oh.
But that's the thing. Like the world of Oz has all these different offshoots, and I think something like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you could probably do that with.
There are the
you
books.
could probably do different interpretations and different things. So maybe did they need, if they wanted to do the Johnny Depp version of that character, did they need to do that exact remake? Maybe not. Now, I liked it more than most, I think, but you could have done a different interpretation of the book. It's like Mary Poppins. Instead of redoing Mary Poppins, they did Mary Poppins Returns because it's based on a different book in the series.
Okay, that's fair.
That I would be much more okay with because Oz has like 6 or 7 books.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you could definitely do that. And I think there's many examples of that where there's a lot of different books in a series, but they only did the one famous movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think Poppins Returns is a great example.
Oh, I love that.
You have the same character played by Emily Blunt, and there's no better person that they could have gotten than Emily Blunt.
She was
for
really
that role. Good. I mean, she was pitch perfect. But they didn't redo the movie.
No.
And I think that's maybe what we should be doing more of. Like the Ghostbusters wasn't a remake. It was a female version interpretation. Again, wasn't well loved, but okay. Same with like, like they did the chick version of the Oceans. So, okay, they did Ocean's 8. They weren't the same.
I was okay with that one.
I was okay with it. It was fine.
Actually.
But then again, Ocean's 11 was a remake anyway of the Frank Sinatra version.
Which I feel like people like more than the original now anyway.
People don't care for the Frank Sinatra version.
People don't talk about that one.
Nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think that's when you remake things. 50 years after the
fact. Nobody cares anymore.
Nobody cares anymore. Unless it's Wizard of Oz, Casablanca,
people still
The
care.
Godfather,
people still All right, that's a good rule, I think. If people are still loving it now, like years and years later, and they're not asking for it,
right?
Don't do it.
Look at Jaws.
Ooh.
They could remake Jaws so well now, but why would you do it?
It's the best thing.
The original Jaws is still watched by so many people.
All right.
Even though it would look maybe better now, there's no reason to do it.
You could make it look a little better now,
but isn't that a good example? Like,
but
that movie is now almost 50 years old.
Look, Dan, that's a perfect example. Because
I like my example.
Because it's a great example. Because Jaws, they'd be so tempted to make the big CGI shark.
Right.
The reason why Jaws is such a great movie is because they were so limited on their special effects.
Yeah.
You don't see them for like most of the movie because of the buildup.
Well, and there's a lot of old 70s. Actually, is a great decade because the 70s was when people were really
new Hollywood
era. When you think of a lot of the horror movies from the 70s, The Exorcist. Well, Poltergeist they remade, and it was horrible. And I love Sam Rockwell.
They did do that,
but it was so bad because the original still holds up just fine.
Carrie,
Carrie they remade, and again, we like that girl.
I liked the movie,
She's okay,
but I've been talking about that movie a lot lately.
Really?
Yeah, it's been coming up in conversation for some reason. Carrie.
Okay.
Yeah, Carrie.
The original's fine.
There's no real.
Why are you remaking it?
To make it look more modern? I guess I don't know.
Here's the problem. The problem with Hollywood now.
Make money.
Is right.
Money.
A name. Well, and this leads us back into the stupid Joker conversation. If you have a name for your project that is recognizable, people will go see it more. So, okay, fine. Let's call this movie The Joker, even though he's not really the Joker.
Okay, that was
got nothing to do.
That was just lazy.
It was lazy.
But people didn't care.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like if you're, instead of writing a new version or remaking or making a Stephen King novel that hasn't gone to the screen yet,
there's plenty.
They just remade Carrie. Like, oh, people like that movie, Carrie. Let's do it again.
You surprised, even though it
was very, very similar.
It was very close.
I mean, it was almost that shot-for-shot Psycho bit. It was so close to the original.
It was just that little bit at the end where they had the attack afterwards.
Yeah,
the car and everything.
But for the most part, and I mean, I guess it was maybe a little modern. Maybe they had cell phones. I don't remember.
That was it, though.
But that was
they
like
had
it.
cell phones and they were bullying online. It was the same story. It was the same.
So I just think.
So Carrie already, but doesn't need to happen.
I think that's what we've come up with, though.
That's a good rule.
I think the rule is if people are still enjoying it, if people that have never seen the movie are still enjoying it, like I did RoboCop, or like my nephew did with the Goonies, or whatever, then I don't think it needs to be redone.
That's okay. Here's a good example. I got two.
Tell me.
Actually, yeah. Okay. All right. I will admit that I like the remakes. Maybe in some ways I do like them more. But Dracula.
Okay. You're talking about the 20s Dracula.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. Here's a confession.
20s and 30s.
1930s Dracula. I love a lot of the classic old horror movies. I didn't love that one.
Okay.
But I love the 90s one. The
Bram Stoker.
The Bram Stoker's the Coppola one.
Okay.
I think, with the exception of Keanu Reeves kind of being bad, it's a very good movie. It's an excellent movie.
Reeves is okay.
But then again, I guess that's not a remake of the.
That's not a true remake of the original.
That's closer to the novel. Okay, bad example then.
It's the same thing as Frankenstein.
Okay.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, when they remade that,
it's closer to the novel.
Is closer to the novel than Frankenstein, the original movie.
Also, I'm a big fan of the Frankenstein novel. I don't know if you know this.
I do know this, I believe.
Okay.
Because I think we talked about when we did I, Frankenstein. That horrible
great movie. Great.
Call Me Adam.
Aaron Eckhart.
God.
All right. I might be in the minority. I don't know. Okay. I mean, I really love the novel a lot.
Okay.
The movie, the classic one, classic movie in its own right, doesn't need to be remade because we're still talking about it 80 years later or whatever.
Right.
But very, very different than the novel. And I prefer the novel. So I actually really liked the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Which was similar to, they were doing a thing where they were pseudo remakes, but they weren't really remakes.
Well, I also think there's a mindset, and this you can thank Ted Turner for in the 80s, I think, when he wanted to colorize every movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think there is a stigma, especially with the HD TVs and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people of a certain age group, I would say under 20, maybe even 25, don't want to watch things in black and white.
That's a thing.
And it's proven time and again. CBS every year colorizes 2 episodes of I Love Lucy and puts it on primetime. Hey, look, we colorized Lucy. And it's fine. It looks great.
Yeah.
That's fine. And that's why I think Wizard of Oz holds up, because really it's just the beginning and the end that are black and white. And that's where her life sucks and it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
But, like kids aren't watching Casablanca. Kids aren't watching Three Stooges like they did when I was a kid. Kids aren't watching the original Psycho, So I think
they shouldn't be.
Well, okay, all right. That's a bad example. But I mean teenagers.
I got you.
But I think for those original Universal horror movies, which by the way, I don't think you ever knew this. We should take a look at some of these because I have not seen it. I don't think any of them. I have the Universal Monsters box set with all of the sequels and all of the originals.
Dan.
All right.
We're doing this.
He almost stopped recording right now so we could go to my house.
Look, I love the old
I
Universal
can't believe I
monster
never told you
movies.
this. About one of the Black Fridays, maybe 2 Black Fridays ago, they had like a great sale. It was like $35 or something for like the whole
So wait,
box that they usually cost like
you
100
never
bucks.
seen any of those?
The only one I ever saw was the one we watched
Legend
on
of
Film Fanatics, was the Black Lagoon,
Creature
which
the
was
Black Lagoon?
okay, but
Hey.
I don't think that's remembered as the
It's
best.
actually probably my favorite, but
it's got all of the
Wolfman and
yes, each character has their own DVD package, and all the sequels are in there.
That's a little thing on his channel
All right,
already.
so I guess we're gonna do that then.
I love that stuff.
Yeah,
them and horror. I mean, horror, obviously. Hammer movies, the Hammer stuff, Hammer horror.
What's Hammer?
They did a lot of like really cheesy, over the top like stuff in the 50s, 60s.
Okay.
Christopher Lee is Dracula.
Oh, okay.
Peter Cushing.
Was that the name of the production company?
Yeah,
Hammer. Okay,
Hammer Films.
Got it.
They basically did remakes of those, but they're more like exploitation.
Okay.
Get some of those.
Kind of B movies.
B movies,
Not
but
quite.
My girlfriend likes them.
Okay.
They're B movies, but they're artsy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Artsy B movies.
Yeah.
Art house schlock, I guess.
Okay. That's fair.
Is the best one, but I like those too.
Well, we're doing those, I guess. The Universal box set.
Definitely. Absolutely.
But
where are we going with this? Oh wait. Remake.
My point is that all of those are in black and white.
And people don't
going
care.
up to the 40s. 30s. No, I'm saying that the kids aren't going to watch that now.
Okay.
You know, there's a whole, like, I think you and I, well, I'm 10 years older than you, but we're kind of the last like generation of people that will routinely watch black and white stuff because we kind of grew up with it. Like when I was a kid, 2 of our TVs in the house were black and white.
You know what?
You know,
that's a
and
good
we watched
point.
a lot of Leave It to Beaver. We watched a lot of I Love Lucy, and Dick Van Dyke.
And I, as a kid, like on reruns and stuff, that's how I was exposed to things like
Twilight
Zone.
We're like the Nick at Night
Limits.
generation.
Yes,
basically.
yes.
Like where Nick at Night wasn't running the George Lopez show; they were running Donna Reed and
we were
Mr.
talking
Ed
about things
stuff.
like Andy Griffith and
Andy
Dick
Griffith.
Van Dyke.
Griffith. You're right.
Yeah.
So I think like about 30 or below is kind of like
less likely
the cutoff. A lot of people of like my nephews, they won't watch anything in black and white. They've seen Wizard of Oz, but that's about it.
That's a shame because there's a lot of good black and white.
Of course there is. And there's always going to be like film historians. There's always going to be, whatever that people that want to experience. But it's almost like music. I mean, like when I think about like the oldest music that I listen to on a regular basis is probably 60s stuff I grew up with. But like, every so often I would love to delve into Ella Fitzgerald or
some like
Nat King Cole or
stuff.
Some of that stuff, but I never do, and I'm never going to probably.
Yeah, I probably won't either, to be completely honest. I mean, I don't know. I think there might be a cutoff at some point. For me, it's kind of like where I guess where guitars become more prominent.
Okay, that's fair. Rock and roll era.
Sure. Like 50s and up, I guess. But I you know what? Some of the first music I was exposed to was 50s, 60s stuff, and a lot of hip hop and R&B at the time. But my musical origins are weird. But yeah, is she gonna behave?
But I
hope so.
I like to consider myself sort of a TV historian, whatever, aficionado. I watch a ton of 50s and 60s shows that nobody's even heard of. I just happen to, see them on a cheap budget DVD or video on YouTube or whatever. But they're shows that, don't get talked about. And kids of the YouTube generation, the TikTok generation, they don't know what I Love Lucy probably even is. Maybe they've heard of it in passing.
You know what? I don't need reminders, but it's a passing of time thing of when you're reminded of your own age.
Tell me.
And the one I got that blew in my mind the most was what was the thing like people didn't know who Ozzy Osbourne was or Black Sabbath.
Oh, what
was that?
Was it Post Malone, I think.
Like who's that?
Yeah, one of the rappers, I think it was Post Malone, came out with a song with Ozzy. And people were like, wow, like it's really cool. He's given this
old guy
no-name, no-name old man a shot. And it's
perception of time, man.
Oh my God.
Wow, there's something profound there.
I feel like that's bad parenting. Teach your kids.
No, but legit,
what's right.
Legit though,
music.
like get some Black Sabbath in your life.
But Kanye did the same thing. When Kanye put Paul McCartney on a track 10 years ago, people said the same thing.
That's true.
Oh my God. And Paul McCartney is probably the most well-known musician other than maybe Elvis or something of all time.
He's a Beatle,
Like,
so
he's a
I mean,
freaking Beatle. It's wild. So I think that's part of the problem is that people are not going to watch a lot of black and white things as we progress further. And I don't know if that's because the TV's
They're not
got
used to
so
it.
great and
Color-
so that that stuff like that looks grainy and I don't know.
It's interesting because, well, that's a good example.
I still have a pretty small TV, so
color was the big selling point, and originally people didn't think it would catch on.
right.
Now it's become the standard, and
Yeah.
because we have the capability. But now it's stylish to do something in black and white.
Yes,
artsy.
now you see movies like Nebraska and Good Night and Good Luck, and they choose to do them in black and white because it's artsy, but
Bad Places.
that's not for the mainstream. I mean, how
Yeah.
many of those are Bad Places? How many of those are, big hit mainstream movies? Not many.
Mm-hmm.
The last black and white, like, huge hit movie is maybe Schindler's List. I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong and there's another one I'm forgetting, but
Nebraska didn't
like light up the box office.
Clerks was pretty big, right?
Not at the time.
Not at the time, but I
in
guess
retrospect.
In
yeah.
retrospect,
But again, that came out the same year or within a year
or whatever
of Schindler's
List. Yeah,
so it's like that's all.
Let's make a black and white
time period. So yeah, I don't know. So I think our point though with the remakes is if the original still holds up, maybe you can do a different story with these characters or whatever, but we don't need the damn remakes.
Dan, I got another one.
Is it Black Annie? Because that was rough.
Actually, I thought you liked Black Annie.
I like it okay, but compared to original Annie, it didn't need to exist. And Cameron Diaz can't sing.
Well, all right, it's weird.
know?
I got my next couple Joe-Lo's movies.
Like Black Annie,
I know you did. Next couple of Joe-Lo's movies. I got RoboCop next, but I'll mention my other ones because
okay.
Because they're next couple in the next couple months here. But they're two different sides.
Okay.
I don't think Jurassic Park ever needs to be remade.
Well, they did, and it was called Jurassic World,
but
and it stunk.
But whatever.
Yeah.
Day of the Earth is
they remade that
classic
Keanu, right? Again,
and I didn't see the remake. I heard it was horrible.
But you introduced me to the original.
But nobody. Okay.
I'd never seen the original until you.
But this is the thing. I would say that's a movie that maybe didn't need to be remade. But did a lot enough people care about it?
No, it's not one that got talked.
So maybe it's one that did need to be remade. It just wasn't remade well. Maybe.
And I think there's something to be said for that as well. That maybe if there's a great idea lying there that nobody talks about anymore, maybe you remake it. Maybe that was their thought on RoboCop.
But sometimes,
other than you, I don't hear a lot of people talking about RoboCop. The original.
That's true. Maybe I just know
they thought,
some people that
maybe
do.
They thought, hey, people aren't talking about this enough.
Maybe it's a thing where, like, if you're in a certain circle of like maybe RoboCop is a great movie, but it's not quite as mainstream as something like Back to the Future.
Right.
So maybe that's what it is. And if the range
or the Terminator even.
Or the Terminator. So if the range isn't as big, maybe I'm looking at it from the hardcore fan base. So
right.
Because obviously RoboCop did get remade and everyone hated it.
Yeah.
Or they don't care about it anymore because they forgot about it because RoboCop 24. Literally
true.
So yeah.
Nobody talks about the new RoboCop even more.
Even less.
Right.
It's like
what? All right. So what's your next Joe Loves movies after Day of the Earth still?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
Those are the next two. Then I have to put up another poll and people have to vote.
Okay, because I have one that we've talked about, but I need to see the remake of. The Time Machine.
You're supposed to do a video with me about that.
I think, I don't think it's a Joe Loves Movies. I think we're just supposed to watch and do a review. Yeah,
it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a podcast thing because
Time Machine original is my all-time, maybe probably still to this day, my all-time favorite sci-fi movie.
Okay. That
if we're not counting like superhero movies as sci-fi.
We don't have to.
But
that's too broad. But the idea was this is the thing.
Okay.
He can help me with my channel
because
I'm always looking for input. My big problem creatively is I always want to do all these different things. Talk about these things, make videos, but I can't decide, do I want to make it edited and scripted, do a podcast, do a live stream? And I'm just like, and then I'm like, well, I'm not doing a service. 100 things, never get anything done. So I just to narrow it down, right? So I'm like, okay, well, if there's other great movies that I don't think are my absolute favorites, I won't do an official video, but maybe I'll do a podcast and maybe I can get somebody else who loves that movie and maybe it's one of theirs
Okay.
That was kind of the podcast side.
Okay.
Thing. So Time Machine was the idea.
Time Machine might be a part of that then.
That was the idea, but we have to watch the other ones, and you never saw the remake.
I never saw the remake.
Which we don't have to watch technically for
I'd like to, though.
But my main
I'd like to see
exposure
it.
that I probably have seen that more than the original.
I've seen the original probably 20 times. I don't know.
I've
I
only
used to watch it all the time when I was a kid.
I saw it twice, like once
my dad.
as a kid, and then when he showed it.
Okay.
Which was the version we watched in color?
Yes.
Was it originally in color?
I believe so.
Because I don't remember. I could have sworn I saw it in black and white.
I believe it's always been in color.
Wow, that's weird. Okay.
Okay, but I have one for you. These are just at this point we're just side conversing, but I have a comedy one because I know you don't have a lot of comedy ones on your list. I know we've talked about Coming to America. We actually did a video of it that got lost.
Deleted thing.
We'll do that again.
Yeah.
I have another one that I think certainly doesn't need to be remade, but
okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you love this movie, My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, My Cousin Vinny doesn't need to be remade.
But I think we should do a Joe Loves Movies or a video about that movie.
That's a good
because
one.
you don't have a lot of comedy movies on your channel that you talk about a lot.
Which is really weird.
Because you love comedy.
I do,
and
but
you're a funny man. But I feel like I don't know. Your guests come on and they always want to talk about the same stuff, and I talk about a lot of the similar stuff too.
But
we haven't brought up The Good Wife yet, though.
I don't.
Which is now
I've never watched.
No, I know, but
that we're gonna do that's on your channel.
Yeah, no, I know.
But no,
I just always bring it up when I'm on, and I haven't talked about it yet.
All right,
so
it's weird. I don't know why that is because I love comedy.
Yeah.
But when I think of my list of my favorite movies, most of them aren't comedy, except for like Twins.
You do love Twins.
I love Twins, and I like Renaissance Man, but I might need to watch it again. But we got to watch Renaissance Man.
Yeah, I'll watch Renaissance Man.
Renaissance Man.
What about remaking comedies? Because obviously things are different in different eras.
I actually think it's harder to remake a comedy. Even when they do sequel, was it
because you'd have to have completely different jokes, obviously. Because jokes aren't going to travel for the most part from generation to generation.
It's very similar, I think. But I think comedies are even harder because it's more like of the time.
I can't even think of a comedy that has been remade.
Because the greatest comedies are timeless jokes that people used to laugh about so many years later. Which is one reason why Back to the Future is great, because as a comedy, the jokes are great.
Jokes hold up. Yeah, I really can't think of a comedy that's really been remade.
And if it has, it's probably been terrible.
Yeah.
Like, was the Vacation one a sequel?
You know what?
Or was that basically a remake?
It was a sequel in the respect that Chevy Chase was in it as Clark. Ed Helms was supposed to be the Rusty character.
But it was the same movie.
It was essentially the same. It was like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
It was essentially the same
soft
movie,
reboot.
but really it was just taking place in the same world. But it was the same thing.
And it wasn't that good.
No, it wasn't that good.
So
it wasn't.
So yeah, when they try to pass it off like that, and the jokes you don't need to see again.
No, you're right about that.
And honestly, okay, some of the Apatow ones are probably great, like 40-Year-Old Virgin. I mean,
yeah,
that's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Don't need to make it again.
That's still so recent though, too.
I know.
It's only 15 years old.
It's still a while. I'm trying to think of other great comedies. My Cousin Vinny is a good one because that, I don't often think about that one, but that probably is one of my favorite movies.
Pretty great.
Because like that the scene with Ralph Macchio's buddy in the prison when he thinks that when he thinks Joe Pesci's an inmate.
Oh my God.
Is one of the best scenes.
That movie has a lot of great
we're going to get through this. It's going to be painful.
Yeah, we could definitely.
I got to watch it again.
I know. I always want to watch it.
That'll be a podcast.
Okay.
I'm down for My Cousin Vinny. Think of him, man.
All right. Yeah, I'll think of some good ones.
Actually, yeah. Think of some of your favorites, and we'll possible podcast for the Joe Loves Movies podcast.
I mean, I the other comedy that immediately comes to mind that we both love is Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents is great. I do love Meet the Parents.
Star of the Joker, Robert De Niro. Star of the Joker movie that we all love. It's rough.
Yeah, it's really bad.
But we'll think of some movies.
We'll think of some more.
But I think that's a good rule of thumb for the remakes. If it still holds up, if generation after generation are still enjoying it, leave it alone.
Because but people got to flock. They're not going to flock to it if it's a named thing that they've already seen.
Right.
Before.
Right.
Though I will tell you what, The Thing is technically a remake.
The 80s thing, yes.
And most people.
And then they remade it again.
Say, no, they made a prequel, but they called it.
Oh, is that
Thing.
right?
It was a prequel that was essentially the same movie, but they just called The Thing to trick people into seeing it, and it confused many people. Right?
Got it.
Right? Yeah. So that's that conversation. We had one more little topic, which is relevant, but I think it is interesting because we just had a drinking.
God, we could talk so much about it.
It's an interesting topic.
It is an interesting topic.
It's a bit timely. I think if the cat wants to not bump into the mic. All right, Bean. If you're not good, you're gonna go away again. I'll put you aside.
Buddy, what are we doing here?
Feel so bad. Okay, Bean, just come here. Well, all right. With a lot of the controversy going on, there's a lot of topics about racial issues, and we watched the film The Help last night for your drinking game, right?
Yes.
We do these virtual drinking games, and I know that was one that kind of had some controversy recently, even though it's kind of a beloved movie, but it was, I think, written and directed by white people primarily, kind of about this white woman's perspective writing the book, and maybe not so much directly on the struggles of the maids. And I think there probably are movies that definitely delve deeper into the racial struggle than The Help does.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lighter movie than a lot of other ones.
And look, I think that was the point of the movie.
Yeah.
I think it was a mass appeal movie.
Yeah.
To, and I think what people take issue with largely is that movies like that tend to sort of massage
over things,
white people into thinking they're watching something very like, yeah, racism bad.
It's not a problem anymore.
Right, it's not a problem anymore. This takes place in the 60s or 50s or whatever.
This is so far removed.
Yeah. And oh God, weren't white people awful back then? But it never actually deals with any real
substantive
issues.
Thing.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's like there's one or two villains that we can focus on, that they're the problem.
Right.
A big
like in The Help, it's the Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
And her mother. Or no, not her mother, but the other woman's mother.
This and I guess the character, Emma Stone's character, could kind of be considered sort of the white savior. And I know this is a topic point.
Yes.
And I want like the white savior trope, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
I go back and forth on it, but
I do too. And I'm gonna talk to you, and I think you kind of agree with me on this. I definitely think there might be a tendency sometimes in movies to say, oh, like this, I don't know, there's this person that's great, and the white person helps the black person struggling in the film.
Right.
Maybe like, oh, like that's almost like kind of getting white people off the hook as a society or something is like what the misconception is. Maybe that's the problem.
Right. Like I guess the sense is that, oh, well, if this white person shows up and helps them,
like it's okay or something,
then he represents all white people or something. I think that's like, the theory behind it.
I think it's something like that. Maybe some people can enlighten me more. The reason why I guess I don't think about it quite as much is a lot of times, historically speaking, especially if we're talking about films that take place during like the slave era, before the Civil War, the people in charge that ultimately changed the laws that recognized people as being human beings and that slavery was wrong. Yes, it was clearly wrong, and obviously should never have happened.
Right.
But there was a big misconception from the society, and very different viewpoint back then, clearly. But white people that wanted to make a difference they changed it.
And that's my issue with it. And I said this to you last night in the group chat. But to me, I think there are definitely examples of white saviorism in films.
Sure.
I think Green Book is probably a good example of that. I don't think you saw that.
I didn't. Actually. I wasn't interested in it.
I understand why the black community and other people of color were up in arms about that winning Best Picture, because it is kind of white savory. But when we're talking about
12 Years a Slave,
Civil War, we're talking 12 Years a Slave, Free State of Jones, these movies where a white person or people did come in and
and like
save the day and say this is wrong. What are we doing? Da 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 da.
and
but
that
like how else was it supposed to go? Like if it's a realistic movie, how else is it supposed to go?
It's like who like yes, there were
obviously Harriet Tubman.
Yes,
you know,
like there were plenty of great,
yes,
fantastic, like Frederick Douglass, African Americans.
But
that
by and large,
the majority of people that were in a position to make a difference happened to be
right.
white, which doesn't excuse all the bad stuff.
Here's my question though. Here's something I was thinking of today. Since we had this conversation last night.
Okay.
In the real world, like we talk about white savior in movies,
sure,
in books, whatever else, TV shows, I guess too. But in the real world, has anyone ever said Abe Lincoln is a white savior? I don't think so.
All right.
Maybe I'm wrong.
All right.
But people love Abe Lincoln because of what he did.
We're going to get into some real controversial stuff now.
I know. I'm not trying to be controversial.
No, but it's fine. You know, we have to talk about real stuff on the channel sometimes.
Yeah.
I honestly...
It can't all be the good wife all the time.
No, I'm like, look, I admit my channel is mostly about escapism and talking about comics and stuff and anime. I do it for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. But like I always say, art is a reflection of what's going on. Where was I going with that?
I brought up Abe Lincoln, and then, and then you said all about it.
You know that I'm a history buff, right?
Yeah.
I actually need to get back into it more. But okay, here's the thing.
Tell me, did Abe Lincoln not free the slaves?
He did. He was an integral part of it.
Okay.
Okay. This is the thing about context, right?
Right.
We have a tendency in our history books to, kind of.
Oh God! All the whitewashing of the history books are killing me right now.
And it's I
think General Grant stuff.
It's gotten worse. I mean, I think
Tulsa.
We're getting
Wall Street.
We're getting more aware now, but it's amazing how much stuff they gloss over in history. And we got to know our history, so we learn, right?
I learned all about why that was too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot in the courses I've been taking about teaching. It's actually it's kind of mind blowing. But the simple view of when you're growing up, Abe Lincoln's great president. He was the guy that realized, slavery's bad and it's terrible. Okay. And he did believe that.
Yes.
From all historical accounts, Abraham Lincoln was, I guess, a good person by the standards of the time and was like, hey, I believe that we should not treat other people like this. They should not be enslaved. They should be free. No person should enslave someone else.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
But he also was kind of more concerned generally with just keeping the country together. And I believe it's been disputed that if he could have found a way to get around it to avoid a war, maybe slavery wouldn't have been abolished as quickly, or maybe in every state, because states' rights was a big issue. So maybe he wouldn't have if it hadn't come to it. But he was a big stance on it. He was an abolitionist. However, he also was one of those guys who was like, yes, the black people should be freed, but they should also be moved back to Africa where they belong, because they're not white and they shouldn't. So by modern standards,
all right,
Abraham Lincoln's probably kind of racist.
Okay,
so it's one of those deals.
Gotcha. Okay,
so
that's fair.
So yes, but it's one. But of those
in the
things.
General context of what people generally think about Abe Lincoln. Does anyone call him a white savior in the same sense that they do with people in movies?
Probably less. He still is mystified as an American hero, and I like the idea of Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Day of the Earth Stood Still, a movie from the 50s, and when I guess the little kid is showing the alien the good things about humanity, so it doesn't blow us all up.
Right.
They go to DC, and there's a black man just kind of like tearfully looking at the statue of Abraham Lincoln,
and
like reading the speech
or something. A bit on the nose.
But this is the 50s.
Okay.
White savior, big time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
yeah.
So probably a little better now, but I don't know.
I think I just feel like in specifically Civil War movies, that it is almost impossible for there to not be some sort of white person, because they were the only free people
to change the laws.
And I'm not saying that that's right.
No,
obviously,
no. It's not.
It's not, of course.
But thankfully,
if you want to have a historically accurate film, you do have to have a quote unquote white savior.
There was a person that was white.
Right.
That was a crucial part in saving.
It's how it had to be, and that sucks.
Thankfully, but thankfully it did happen.
Yes, obviously.
Yes.
But when we talk about non fact-based movies like The Help that are complete fiction.
Okay, complete fiction.
Made up people, and Green Book, I guess, is based on real people, but the family of the Mahershala Ali character was pissed. But here you've got The Help, which, look, 10 years ago when I watched it, I thought this is a great movie.
That was good.
Yay, everybody! Octavia Spencer's amazing. Of course, the performances are still great, even watching it last night, but. Definitely watching it last night for the first time in 8 years, with everything that has been going on lately and with everything that really over the last few years has been coming up and coming out. I think it's a little, I don't like the term white savior, but I do think that
it leans a little.
What Viola Davis said in the interview I read about why she really regrets doing the movie in the first place is because it really didn't show, like you said earlier, the perspective of the maids as best that it could.
Well, like the first half of the movie, it's not even about them.
No, the first half of the movie is not about them at all. It's about all the white people that want to keep them out of their toilets and stuff.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Emma Stone's background.
Yeah.
I think we definitely could have seen a different viewpoint of them. But is it not good that the Emma Stone character wanted to write about their experiences? Sure. Was it to also further her career? Sure.
Yeah.
So that
realistically,
maybe she didn't have the best of intentions.
Like that,
I don't know,
that's a perfect example of that character. Realistically, maybe some part of her was like, "Yes, this is wrong. That's why I want to talk about it."
Right.
But it's also sensational. It's controversial.
Right.
So
it will help my career.
So
as a journalist.
Maybe if it didn't help me, would I be so eager to stir trouble?
Sure.
Say Abe Lincoln.
So in that respect, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a problematic movie. 10 years on.
A little bit.
But
not,
I really don't think
the intention's still
Viola
good,
Davis should regret the whole movie. I mean, first of all, she gave obviously a great performance as she always does.
Yeah.
But
she's great.
I think, I don't know. I think it's a little stilted because I do think, but it's difficult. It's hard.
All right.
To not think about 100 different things when you're watching it.
All right, Dan. Well, here's another one. Okay.
We were drinking anyway.
We were drinking this time, but
I got real drunk.
You did. All right. You like to bring up Hidden Figures, I think, as a comparison.
Yes.
I think that Hidden Figures, this is the thing. I was worried because I kind of think of Hidden Figures in a similar way.
And our friend Justin yesterday called it a white savior movie.
And you know what? This is the thing that I find interesting about Hidden Figures, though, which maybe is a little bit better of a balance. And the reason I like Hidden Figures a little better than The Help is
Hidden Figures is great.
Hidden Figures is actually about the women and their struggles and what they did to achieve great things despite everything. However, because of the situation, there was a white person in charge that had to let them and stand up for them because
several. First of all, they had to get hired by a white person.
Process,
which was what's her face, Julia.
Oh,
was it Julia Stiles?
Isn't it?
It was. No, Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst from Spider-Man. For Spider-Man, it comes back to Spider-Man. Comes back to Spider-Man. Yeah.
So she had to hire them in the first place, or whoever.
Yeah.
Then Kevin Costner had to say, okay, yes, she can be a part of our all-white, group of men. It wasn't just that she was a woman; it was that she was black.
She can't run all the way across the freaking parking lot
to go to the bathroom.
This is ridiculous.
And then
got a job.
The biggest, I guess, if you want to say it, white savior in the whole movie is John Glenn.
Yeah.
Because he says, "Get me the woman, or I'm not doing."
I need her because she's the best. I don't care what she looks like.
Black. I don't care if she's
she better be here. Help me.
So
yeah.
So is it a story of white saviors? Is it a story of white saviors? Yes, I guess so.
And
but
no,
how can it not be?
No,
in that era,
this is look.
It sucks that was how it had to be, and that was the progression.
This is the thing. This is why it's difficult. Okay, like maybe that's where the misconception comes, is that it's like excusing something. Look, as a society as a whole, even white people that lived in another state and saw that these other people were being treated terribly, the majority of people didn't go up in arms until they started really seeing, because they could distance themselves. So it took time, and we're still working on those issues. But it's good that information gets out and people think and talk and eventually start making the choices to change,
right.
which I guess is helping save everybody. I guess,
feel like if we don't have movies like this, where we see how bad it was, then right, like you're saying, like then nobody cares, nobody thinks about it, out of sight, out of mind, kind of thing.
Maybe all right, maybe this is the issue. I guess nobody's arguing that. Yes, thankfully there are plenty of people that weren't oppressing that said, okay, let's take a stand too and come together, because that's what it's all about. But I think maybe the fear is like that's going to diminish the struggles of what Black people could do for themselves.
Maybe that is.
I think that maybe that's the concern.
And look, you and I watched Song of the South a couple of weeks ago because I'm doing the Disney movies in chronological order.
That one got some hits, by the way,
and it did because people
topical
like to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that movie has never been available in the U.S.
for good reason.
And as we discovered, for good reason. It is
racist.
I mean, it's horribly racist.
That's a whitewashed savior. That's
white
the
savior
to the max,
to the nth degree movie.
That's the extreme.
And it's also not educational at all in terms of the play.
It's a lie. It's a straight lie. Yeah. That's
so. Yeah. So is there a difference racially between The Help and Song of the South? I would say yes.
Yes, clearly there's one movie that's like nothing bad ever happened. Everything in America and South was great. And this was like, no, there were issues, and maybe it's polished and a feel-good movie.
And look, but I can appreciate that Viola Davis maybe regrets that she didn't speak up at the time and say, hey, maybe we could
do this
focus a little more on this. I mean, that wasn't how the book was, but we've all seen plenty of movies that weren't like the book.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So maybe she regrets that she didn't do that.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a different movie, and it would have probably been a better movie because it might have meant more Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis, which I'm all about.
Yeah.
But I do still think movies like that can help lead us into deeper themed movies.
Well,
it's sort of like an appetizer for maybe
all right.
I mean, it's
should every movie that focuses on these issues be harsher to watch?
No. I don't think so. Because I think there's a lot of movies. I mean, look, I'm gay, and there's certainly been a lot of movies about gay bashing and this, that, and the other thing, and nobody talks about the straight people that came to the rescue or whatever. And that's fine. But
that's true. That doesn't come up that much, actually.
And I don't think every movie has to be like that. But I also don't think every movie has to be Medea either. I mean, we don't have to be silly all the time.
True.
But no, I mean, look, The Help is light. It's a light movie, and it's lighter than it probably needs to be.
Yeah,
in terms of it's humorous and
shouldn't be quite. You know what? I have seen like live action kids movies, Disney movies that focused on racial issues that were more intense than The Help.
Yes.
Actually.
Yes. To be quite honest, if
it's pretty,
the pie scene wasn't in The Help, it would be a PG movie. I mean, that's really the only like.
That seems wrong. Actually,
you think?
I don't. Actually,
Figures is PG.
Actually, you know what? No, PG for thematic elements because kids need to know about this stuff.
Yeah.
So actually, you're right. You're right.
Look,
Hunchback G.
Okay,
we just know.
Well, listen. Okay, truth be told, the movie Hairspray has deeper themed issues than The Help.
It's a lot.
The Help is a light movie.
Maybe that's why it offends me. I don't know.
Maybe it is.
Maybe that shouldn't be light.
But look at Hairspray. Nobody calls the fat girl
the white
a white savior. But really, her and Corny Collins both had to stand up to Michelle Pfeiffer in the new version, and say, look, Negro Day should be every day. Like integrate.
You're right.
So what's the difference? Why is one movie white savior and one movie's not? Maybe it is because The Help is treads so lightly on the topic.
Maybe that's part of it.
Maybe that is
because you're right. It's with Hairspray. It's just part of the plot. It's not what the movie's like about.
Yes.
So we're drawing more attention to it, and it's just that's a good point.
But don't you agree? Hairspray is definitely tackles deeper seated issues than The Help.
I saw that on TV the other day. I'm like, I forgot. Like, movies like half it's just about racism.
Such a good movie.
Segregation.
God, I love Hairspray.
It's a good movie. Remake, you like more?
I do like the remake more because I love the songs and I love the actors more. But,
Favorite John Travolta performance?
No, I think favorite John Travolta performance is still Gotti. I had to lighten the mood a bit.
Actually, I did hear The Fanatic was actually pretty good.
He's okay in it, but the movie's an F. That I would watch again though over Gotti. I don't think I ever want to watch, but I could like have a drinking game to The Fanatic.
Over Gotti.
Over Gotti, absolutely.
Okay.
Probably favorite would still be Pulp Fiction, I think.
Yeah, that's probably mine too.
Yeah, but Hairspray's definitely up there. All right, but anyway,
yeah.
Help is light. I think we can admit that they did not delve into the topics deep enough.
All right.
But
well,
we're now at the 2-hour mark exactly.
2-hour mark. So
seems probably like a good
cutoff point.
Wrap up.
Okay. Well, we got to wrap up on a mini conversation of something light.
Okay.
Please, because I think we scared everybody off. What is something else you'd like to leave me with? A tidbit, something, anything, something you want to talk about?
I already told you SpongeBob was gay.
Gay.
Which that was pretty light.
Adds nothing, but like cool. Actually,
good for him.
You know, it's kind of like Gandalf is gay.
I thought the same thing about the dude from Harry Potter. When I read SpongeBob is gay, I thought about like, oh, isn't Dumbledore or something from Harry Potter gay? And I'm like, but it didn't matter, and nobody talked about
gives
it.
a shit?
Nobody talked about it.
And you know, and yes, I get that he's. Wow,
right.
Did I just say Gandalf? Oh no,
you said Gandalf, but that's because Ian McKellen's gay.
Ian McKellen is gay, which is great. Gandalf, I think, doesn't care about sex.
I actually took it at face because I thought maybe you knew something about Gandalf. I didn't, so I just assumed you.
All right. Once again, Lord of the Rings also has homosexual subtext. Whole nother podcast, but no.
R.I.P. Ian Holm, by the way. Just say that.
I wanted to write an article about it. Ian Holm,
right.
Bilbo Baggins passed away. That is sad, but great man, great career.
Yeah.
Fifth Element, also great.
Oh yeah.
Alien.
I finally saw that. Remember?
Yeah.
Fifth Element,
and you liked it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ian Holm. But yes, Dumbledore. When I can't believe I say Gandalf, but it makes sense. Ian McKellen. Whew.
Makes sense.
It's been a 2-hour podcast. It's late.
Yeah.
Talked about a lot of stuff. But yes, Dumbledore. Look.
Tell me. Who cares that he was gay?
Because I don't know. She's gotten so much.
Matter.
She's been
and
pretty much.
Right.
She's written off now.
Right. She's got her own issues with the LGBT.
Which I'm not even going to go up. That's I'm not. You know.
It's a different topic.
We're not going there.
But
like, this is the thing, and this I think is the ideal world, right? Whether
tell me.
And I know obviously
everyone's gay. That's my ideal world.
Well, sharing different viewpoints is what makes things interesting, and we have to acknowledge difficulties and all that stuff.
Yes,
but that's why it's great. But basically, this is the thing. Ideally, as a person, a representation of a person, a character, Dumbledore was great, and the fact that he was revealed as gay after the fact, with no indication in the books at all, didn't matter. Because it didn't factor his character. Because who cares if he likes men or not? Why, he was just a great person.
And that's why it doesn't matter. 20 seasons in that SpongeBob is gay.
That's what I'm saying.
It's nice and it's cute.
When they're just doing it to like okay, cool, but like we could leave with.
Look, Nickelodeon is always cool with the gays.
That's great.
So is Disney. What's his face is gay in Beauty and the Beast. Everyone knows that.
Josh Gad.
Oh
man. Gaston Psychic, The Pew or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't even know his name.
God, I love that movie. There was a great remake. There was, ladies and gentlemen,
unnecessary.
There was a great remake, Beauty and the Beast. I gave it an A, but it was great.
I gave it an A too, but it's like an A with an asterisk.
But it was different. The one was animated, and this one was live action. They did different things with it, and they had two new songs that I thought were really good. And Kevin Kline was in it.
I do like Kevin Kline. He doesn't do anything. All right.
Look, we had a whole video on my channel about how great the remake was, so don't go back on your word.
All right. Yes, I did.
You know it was great.
I did think the remake was good.
No, great is what it was.
It was good. It was very good. I'm
going to go home tonight and watch the video we made. You're going to eat your words.
I'm going to watch too. It was actually the first one I think we did post Film Fanatics, right?
It definitely was, yeah.
Yeah. That was like 3 years ago or something. That's crazy. But yeah, like, all right. I do think it was very good, but I do think it was unnecessary, though. I think you could have gone without doing it. Okay, all right.
Have any of the Disney remakes been necessary? No, I'll tell you what was unnecessary. The goddamn Lion King. Did you ever see that dumb remake?
Yeah, I actually saw it in
It was
a
horrible.
theater in Maryland. Yeah, that
so bad. There's a remake that was almost the Psycho
was
shot for shot.
It was
That was the Psycho shot for shot remake.
It was CGI and it was photorealistic, but it was pretty much shot for shot.
Yes,
and the songs sucked.
The new songs were terrible,
and it wasn't that interesting.
And the voice acting wasn't that good.
Did you see Aladdin?
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
Was that necessary? Nobody talks about it at all. That one's
gone. Here's my problem with Aladdin.
All right.
I've only seen the original animated one once.
Okay.
It was in theater, so it's been almost 30 years.
Okay.
So I don't have the attachment to it that many people do.
Okay.
But Will Smith, as in Suicide Squad, was the best part of Aladdin.
Well, I don't.
That
doesn't surprise me.
But the new songs were not that good. Did it need to be made? No. I thought it was like middling in the Disney remakes. You've got like up here, you've got like Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast. Then you've got like, I don't know, Pete's Dragon, maybe Cinderella was really good.
Bad.
And then you've got like Aladdin, a tier below that, and then you've got like maybe Aladdin's like with Maleficent.
Oh yeah,
well, and then you've got like
the
Lion King, way down there.
Lion King was pretty
horrible.
That was unnecessary.
So Aladdin was like in the middle to lower tier of that.
Okay, all right. Well, before you go, Dan, what's the weekly schedule? What's the ideal? Dan reviews the schedule. There's always like, we did it once. We got to do it again. What was it
weekly
originally?
For you and I to do
what
the
was
TV show?
What was the original pitch? Because we did it once. We haven't even remember.
The original pitch was.
Okay, can you do it?
No. You know I can't because we don't know what was supposed to be on Thursday. That's the big
Can never
problem.
figure out what was Thursday.
I keep saying it was 30 Rock Thursday.
It wasn't 30 Rock Thursday. Well, I'm fine with it, but that wasn't what it was.
I know. I'm pumped about them coming back. I know how we should wrap up.
Okay.
Why don't you close the window and look at the comments?
Oh no.
And see if there's anything we can talk about.
Okay.
Strict grading. Just because I never gave an A+ to a
Captain Marv, you're still on. They thought we weren't.
Thank you. Yeah, for telling us.
Thank you.
We thought we
thought the cat knocked it. That was like 10 minutes.
Spidey has been a human character. Batman got a free ride. Okay.
All right.
I'm sure that's relation to.
I forget who are the
Spider-Man movies from worst to best. Throw in Spider-Verse and Venom. We can do that quickly.
For me, all right. Spider-Verse is probably number one.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse
probably number one.
All right, it's number one.
All right.
Homecoming.
Yep, I agree so far. Then for me, it would be Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1. Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay. Wait.
Shit. Amazing Spider-Man 2, maybe after that.
You're forgetting.
I forgot Far From Home, though.
Far From Home.
So Far From Home would be probably between Spider-Man 2 and 1, Toby.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna.
All right.
Spider-Verse
and Homecoming.
Okay.
Is the top two for both of us.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Then for me, it goes Spider-Man 2, Far From Home, Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Venom, Spider-Man 3.
All right, help me out.
End.
Okay, so it was far. Okay, no.
Spider-Verse and Homecoming are top two.
Spider-Verse, Homecoming. Then I'm probably gonna go Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man.
Far From Home is good. Okay.
Spider-Man, then Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay, yeah, you love that.
I do.
And then Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, then Amazing Spider-Man 2, then
Venom.
Then Spider-Man 3.
No.
Then Spider-Man 3.
Jesus
then Venom.
Christ.
I hate Venom.
That's rough.
I hate Venom.
All right.
I do. I was nice to it, but Venom is a betrayal to the character. Okay.
I gave Venom a C+, I think.
You like Spider-Man 3 more than Venom.
No, I don't.
You don't?
Spider-Man 3 is, I have no desire to watch it. All right, so that's good.
Okay.
Thank you, Kenny Ulysses, for that.
Thank you. Kenny is always watching.
You better keep taking them seriously. I don't know what that's a
Thor Odinson wields the power of ancient and guardians to fight evil without the normals. Yes, it's crazy. It's crazy they made that. Spidey made his own suit and thing in the comics. Yeah, that's right. He made his own suit in the comics. He does that in the movies, except in the newer ones. How come Spidey villains are animal themed? Because they were easy, I'm guessing. Stan Lee was like, here's a villain, call it this and draw it this way. I don't know anything about him. That's literally what he said for villains. Seriously. That's why they came with crazy stuff. We want to come watch the scum off the streets. I'm guessing that's a Taxi Driver reference.
Oh, okay.
Or is it Joker?
It might be Joker
Could be
or
either one.
Taxi Driver. Interchangeable.
Only got dark because the smile became a spar. Who should be the villain? Wonder Woman 3. Unfortunately, I don't think she has the best rogues gallery.
I'm interested to see Kristen Wiig though in
as
the
Cheetah.
New one. Yeah,
That'll be cool. You know what? I hope that they do Hades actually, since I know they're gone, but that's the only other big one. Somebody who knows more about Wonder Woman. I'm not an expert on the villains, but yeah, let's have Hades be the one. Someone cut a smile on his face. Who holds back more, Goku or Spider-Man? Spider-Man
holds back.
Spider-Man could like turn people's heads into paste. Goku is just punching. Goku. No, Goku is giving it his all most of the time. Let's see. Spidey's a good guy. Yes. Humiliate underdog, rains vengeance. Phoenix made sacrifice. Now he's entitled to the Oscar. He paid the price. It's strange because it seems like he became stronger than most of the struggles through many fights. I think that's what they're talking about. No, sorry.
This is during our Joker conversation.
Go to bed. Right? LVN had to go to sleep. Must be a younger person. Okay, well,
good podcast. Thank you, LVN.
Don't want you to get into trouble. Yes, so thank
you. That was nice.
Come back and watch later. These are weird to do live. Thank you for the good podcast.
Yeah.
Later, Kenny. Good night.
All right, good night.
You guys not getting Star Wars Squadron? Probably. I have no idea what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Voltron
is great. Yep.
How's She-Ra Princess of Power? Yes. I never saw
the new version. Is Princess of Power called the new one?
I think so.
Okay.
I've not actually seen any of the.
I watched a little bit of She-Ra back in the day, the '80s version.
I really like the new She-Ra show.
Is that right?
That I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I recommend it.
Okay.
I really love it.
Wow. All right. Interesting.
Still use that line. Done. Thought he was asexual. Maybe. Oh, Hero came on.
Oh, here you go.
Actually, He-Man had a thing for Sweet Bee. Meanwhile, Foster wanted He-Man. In the comics, He-Man tends to have a connection with Teela, such as the unproduced Son of He-Man series starring his son Hero. Yeah, I know. In the comics, they kind of play with Teela being a little bit of a thing, but I think he's kind of.
I think he's gay.
He's kind of gay.
That's good. Velma and some of the Scooby-Doos could easily be considered gay. Yeah, for sure.
Roger,
that's a good one, Kenny.
American Dad.
I don't watch enough American Dad.
From what I gather, most of He-Man Gator tones come from Filmation. Yep.
But I would say American Dad is an adult animated series. I mean, obviously, like Waylon Smithers is gay on The Simpsons.
Oh, definitely. I'm not hiding that.
So.
Although YouTube videos and Robot Chicken played a big role in the gay side of 80s He-Man. Yeah, I think
I would believe
that pop culture has definitely made it more of a thing, whereas Filmation, it was more implied. But you're right. Outside of Filmation, he is he might be less gay, but
yeah,
it's mostly the original that he's kind of gay. Terminator 1 and 2.
We keep acting like remakes somehow detract from the legacy. Well, I don't think necessarily detract from the legacy, but they just are not good most of the time. I mean, I think that's a fair question and not something that we addressed, but I don't know. I don't feel like
they just don't. They just seem like they're a waste of time most of the time.
Yes, they seem like they're a waste of time. They waste people's money
to
see them. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it is erasing the original movie to do the remake, but I don't know.
I feel like your argument sort of misrepresents the intentions of Hollywood. You're right. It's always about money.
Yeah, it's always about money.
That's why, it's
always about money.
It's always about money.
Did we say that?
Yeah, we did. Like the goal is to make money. Yep. Which you remake Jaws. They brought it up.
Oh,
no.
Awesome.
No.
Never remake Jaws.
Lord of the Rings. Oh, yeah. Never remake Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I don't.
They're doing the Amazon thing. They're doing it.
That's right. I heard about that. That's going to be
terrible. Do it.
Terrible.
Leave Lion King alone. You're not wrong. Okay, so I guess they agree with a few comments we made. So,
well,
all right.
Thanks, Kenny, and everyone else.
Thank you for commenting.
Yeah.
I know I wasn't kind of like actively engaged in that. Maybe we'll try to do more next time.
I never did a live one. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, doing live ones. It's just easy too. I know there's a way to like not be live, but I forgot what to click. So honestly, I was just like, I don't want to go back. I like the thumbnail we did.
Yeah.
So
our thumbnail was good.
So yeah, you could just watch us. Hey, Joe Rogan doesn't interact with his people. So
well, all right, look.
He's got billions of people.
I was gonna say he's got a little wider audience than you.
A little bit. But hey,
you have a much wider audience than me. So I don't think I could ever do a live one. I've thought about it.
You might be surprised because
Maybe.
I've got a fair amount of subscribers, but they're not as many.
I'd
as
have to put a
actors.
cone on my cat though for the wonderful cat bits.
Honestly, Celine has been mostly good throughout this, and she adds the cuteness
Yeah,
factor.
she's definitely cute.
But I'm gonna end it then.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
All right, everyone,
See ya.
stay magical and comment on thoughts on this stream. I guess if you want to do live again, if we can comment next time, let us know.
See ya.
See ya. Now we're gonna end.
Oh, nobody said I was